Ingersoll.
Of a veteran. Since then, he's rewritten most of Georgia Tech's passing records, and he's just 32 yards to become the first Georgia Tech quarterback to run for a career 1,000. His counterpart today, Georgia's Eric Zeier, is writing a similar script. Zeier has an overload of poise for a true freshman. His passing touch has taken Georgia's traditionally conservative approach to a new level. And today, he'll call on all of his passing skill to get by the nation's 8th best defense. Georgia Tech and Georgia meet for the 86th time with Sean Jones and Eric Zeier at center stage.
JP Sports presents the best in regional college football, the Atlantic Coast Conference. The Exxon ACC Game of the Week is brought to you by Exxon Phase 4 gasolines. For high performance and cleaner engines, rely on new Phase 4 gasolines from Exxon. By the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company. For insurance and financial services, better call Jefferson Pilot. By Coors Light, the silver bullet is the right beer now. By Delta, the airline of ACC country. We love to fly, and it shows. By Diet Pepsi and caffeine-free Diet Pepsi. You got the right one, baby. And by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. To arrange a thorough test drive, simply phone your nearest BMW dealer.
It's a cloudy, hazy day in Atlanta, but unusually mild. The setting for today's Exxon ACC Game of the Week, Bobby Dodd Stadium, historic Grant Field, the 86th meeting between Georgia and Georgia Tech. Good afternoon, everyone. Steve Martin along with Jack Corrigan. Well, Georgia Tech is already headed to the Aloha Bowl. They'll meet Stanford there. Georgia going to the Independence Bowl. They've got a date with Arkansas, but none of that seems to be important when Georgia and Georgia Tech battle.
Well, here with JP Sports this year, we've seen North Carolina against North Carolina State. We had Clemson against South Carolina last week. This week, it's the Battle of Georgia, and I don't know if there is a better rivalry between any two schools than you have right here.
And, of course, you've got some great individual players that'll go after it today, especially for Georgia.
Georgia's got an outstanding wide receiver in sophomore Andre Hastings. He, of course, was the high school player of the year coming out of high school, and he has done little to disappoint Bulldog followers. He will go over 1,000 yards in receptions in less than 2 years this afternoon. Defensively for the Georgia Bulldogs, they've got to try and stop the passing of Sean Jones with people like Chuck Carswell, their top defensive back. He is also an outstanding kick returner, averaging better than 10 yards on punt returns.
A lot of things swing both ways with these clubs as far as emotions are concerned. Georgia trying to rebound from a 4-7 season. Our Mike Hogwood has a word with Georgia coach Ray Goff.
With Coach Ray Goff now, and Coach, this rivalry I know means a lot to this football team, no matter what's happened during this season.
Well, it's an important game because it's the biggest game of the year. It's a state rivalry, Georgia Tech. It's gone back. It's been a great game throughout the years. The last couple of years, they've beaten us pretty soundly, and so we're a little bit better football team, and Georgia Tech's still playing awful good. It's going to be a big game and a big challenge, and it's a great opportunity for our players to come out and play against a fine football team such as Georgia Tech.
All right, that's head coach Ray Goff. Let's go back up now to Stephen Jack.
Thank you very much, Mike. You know, offensive coordinator at Georgia Tech, Ralph Friedgen, told me earlier this week he had a conversation with the late Bobby Dodd, and he said it's fine to win 7 games, but make sure one of those 7 is against Georgia.
And when you've got a guy like Sean Jones, it'll be win number 8 if he has a Sean Jones-like season or game today like the season he's had. He is going to go over 7,000 yards in total offense in his career sometime this afternoon. He's done an outstanding job. He has been helped in recent weeks by tailback Jimmy Lincoln. The ACC Rookie of the Year is healthy again after some ankle problems. He gives that Georgia Tech the diversity they want to have on offense. The more weapons you have, the more dangerous Sean Jones becomes.
This is a young backfield, but it's matured a lot since their opening game of August 28th. Mike Hogwood has a word with Georgia Tech coach Bobby Ross when we return. Mike Hogwood.
Well, Steve, I like what you said when you said it's great to have 7 wins, but somebody says one of those 7 better darn well be against Georgia or Georgia Tech. You can really feel the emotion down here on the field building up to this game. It means a lot. It means bragging rights, something to talk about for the rest of the year. The Georgia Tech team has just come out on the field. The roar you hear is for Georgia as they're coming out on the field right now. And you may hear hear some boos because this is a very partisan Georgia Tech crowd here. We had a chance to talk with Georgia Tech coach Bobby Ross. He says, you better believe this is one big one.
It's a big game for us for a lot of reasons. You know, we'd like to end the season 5 consecutive wins. We'd like to go out of here with 3 consecutive wins over the University of Georgia. We'd like to end 8-4. But I think if you put all of those things aside, still the most important thing are the braggart rights, you know, just for the state of Georgia. And I think there's a little bit of a reputation on the line as far as ACC and SEC, and we like to think that ACC football is as good as SEC football.
Well, it's a battle of who has to live with the other for another year. And they'll decide it here when we kick it off in just a few minutes. So stay with us. Georgia and Georgia Tech. 2 teams came out on the field, and then the fans caught sight of the men that they are going to either love or despise for the next 3 hours. Georgia leads this series 45, 35, and 5. You see how close they have been. But Georgia Tech has won the last 2. And 4 of the last 7. Alan Waters is set to kick it away. And back deep, Andre Hastings about 9 yards deep in the end zone. He will not come out. 1st and 10 at the 20 for the Georgia Bulldogs, and here are your true value starting lineups.
We talked about the great freshman quarterback Eric Zeier. He has got Max Strong and Garrison Hurst at the running back spots to begin the game. We'll also see a lot of Larry Ware. An offensive line that's had some injury problems. Probably Jack Swan, the guy at center, the best of the bunch. Bernard Williams at left tackle played defense in this game a year ago.
There are Zeier's numbers. He's had an outstanding season, the best of any quarterback in one single season at Georgia. Just about. He's scrambling on 1st down and is complete to Matt Marshall. Out over the 35-yard line, brought down on the play by Curly Day. Let's take a look at the defense for Georgia Tech.
Coleman Rudolph put the pressure on that 1st down play, and he heads up that front line along with Battle and Kimsey. Great linebackers. Coleman, an All-American, and Jarrell Williams has had a fine year. Marlon Williams really coming on. Willie Clay, a 2nd-team All-American, and Ken Swilling is back to full strength.
Zeier shows you how he responds to pressure on 1st down, and he's back to throw again on 2nd. Going for the sidelines, intended for Marshall one more time. Covering on the play, Curly Day to the short side of the field, and that's where they've gone both times on plays from scrimmage.
I think they will try and pick on Curly Day a little more frequently. Not that Curly is a bad defender, it's just that Willie Clay on the other side's an All-American, and so you take the lesser of 2 evils.
And you try to establish that rhythm of strong into the boundary, strong to the field side. There's Curly Day. And it's 2nd down and 10 for Georgia. Zeier with time and touch to Marshall. Marshall now, all he needs is running room, and he gets none. 1 yard on the play. Willie Clay in on the tackle, along with Jarrell Williams. Actually, that's Kevin Peoples.
Zeier had a good look at Marco Coleman. Watch the left side of your screen bearing down, or right side of your screen, excuse me. He got a good block from Garrison Hurst to give him time, but when Marshall tried to find running room, there were all kinds of bodies there. Swilling and Clay and Peoples. 3rd and long.
3rd and about 9 to be exact at the 36. Big rush on screen in the middle. It is to Hastings, and it is going to be complete, but not for much, for maybe a yard.
Good job on the play by Richard Kimsey, number 91, and Jarrell Williams to break up the play. Kimsey, the defensive tackle, he's got screen patrol. He's the guy, see him doing the loop there. Now he recognizes the screen and was able to get a piece of Hastings as he went by.
Saucy on the kick. Whistles blow, flags get away. And we've got to have a call here before we move much further. The flag down at the 37. With his last catch, Georgia's Andre Hastings has moved into 2nd place in Georgia's single-season receptions record with 45, trailing only Charles
Before the ball was snapped, movement by the offensive line, 5 yards penalty, repeating 4th down.
So they repeat 4th down. And move it back about 5 years. 5 yards. Bobby Ross in his 5th season at Georgia Tech, and you saw the record there, coming off a national championship year. Here's the punt by Saucy. It is blocked. Blocked by Mike Williams going into the end zone. Saucy knocks it out for a safety. Williams, a redshirt sophomore out of Augusta, Georgia. Saucy does the smart thing here to get the safety. Had Williams been able to maintain his footing, he's got a touchdown, and Saucy says, let me get it out of the end zone. 2's better than 6. So it'll be a free kick for Georgia coming up, and Georgia Tech will be getting the football. Mike Williams blasts through to put the first points on the board. Turnovers have been important. They've scuttled Georgia Tech at times. Georgia has managed to avoid them, but in their kicking game, they've had some kicks blocked thus far this season. And Saucy is their second punter of the season. Their first punter is Scott Armstrong, and he had a knee injury, had reconstructive knee surgery. That's just a speed block right there. Mike Williams, coming from Saucy's left, just beat the ball. Georgia Tech has been very good at blocking kicks this season. That is their 6th blocked kick. They blocked 3 field goals, 2-point afters. I believe that's their first punt. Ray Goff concerned in his 3rd year at Georgia. Well, you heard all the talk from Ray and his coaching staff about the need to play at an emotional high throughout this ball game, because he still senses that there's a little doubt in this Georgia program that they've come all the way back. And the start right there with the safety was not what they wanted. Well, their defense will have to play emotionally and get that chance. Here's Clay, one of the top punt returners in the ACC. And he gets Georgia Tech excellent field position at the 46-yard line. A return of 20 yards after the free kick. Here's the True Value starting lineups offensively for the Yellow Jackets. See that backfield of Wilkerson and Lincoln behind Sean Jones. We'll also see Smith and Hendricks. Lester's had a great year. Big, deep offensive line. Mike Mooney and Russell Freeman, the tackles, have played well. Tom Covington playing as well as he's ever played in a Georgia Tech uniform, according to the Tech offensive staff. 1st and 10, Georgia Tech. There is what Sean Jones has done, and he needs 32 yards to run for 1,000 career. First play goes to Jimmy Lincoln, the ACC Rookie of the Year, and he gets a 5-yard gain out to the 49 of Georgia. Let's look at the Bulldogs defense. An improving defense for the Georgia Bulldogs. Douglas, a former linebacker with Jennings and Barnum up front. Their strength is their linebacking core. Allen and Simmons on the inside, their leading tacklers. In the secondary, Carswell and Wynn on the corners have played well, and David Hargett's done a nice job coming back from 2 broken legs. That's incredible. 88 and 90 broke legs. Covington now switches over. Georgia Tech will show us sometimes double tight end. They do not here. 2nd down and 6. Lincoln is met a yard behind the line of scrimmage. Dwayne Simmons, the D train. First man in on the L train. Tackle number 132 on the season for Dwayne Simmons. He is not big as inside linebackers go at just 208 pounds, but he has excellent lateral and forward quickness. And if you can't hit the target, you don't worry about how big that linebacker is. Nickel defense in now for Georgia. 5 defensive backs. 3rd down, 2-0 Georgia Tech, and Sean Jones wants timeout. Sean Jones coming to the sidelines to talk things over on a key 3rd down play. We've got a break in the action with 11:40 left to go in the first quarter of play.
We asked California artist Ed Lister to give us his impression.
Back at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta, Steve Martin, Jack Corrigan, Mike Hogwood, and Georgia Tech facing a 3rd and 6 at their, well, at midfield with 11:40 left to go in the first quarter. They've taken a timeout to talk things over. They lead this ball game thanks to a safety granted to them by a block of a punt by Mike Williams. Bobby Ross roams the sidelines as they move their call in, and we'll see what it is here. Georgia Tech, Georgia anticipating pass with a nickel package. They come back to a normal set. Stegall wide out left. Rodriguez to the right. Straight drop back to Sean Jones, and he's going to be set back quickly by Greg Jackson, the outstanding outside linebacker from Sharon, Georgia. 4th sack of the season for Greg Jackson. Just powered through on the right side. There is overwhelming speed out of all 4 outside linebackers. And you can see right there, Russell Freeman could not handle Greg Jackson. He wanted to go to Rodriguez, but he was covered well by Carswell. Jason Bender breaks off a punt of gargantuan proportion. Back to the 9. Carswell trying to thread his way up the sideline, has stepped out of bounds at the 21. It is a 56-yard punt and a 14-yard return. But that was a good sequence, Steve, for that Georgia defense. They did not have good field position following the free kick, yet they shut down the Tech efforts on the first 3 plays. Well, Greg Jackson played emotionally, that's for sure, and Richard Bell told you earlier in the week that he had hoped that Georgia would play with emotion on defense to offset the talent that Georgia Tech has on offense. 1st and 10, running out of a more conventional formation, the I for Eric Zeier. And the first running play of the game, Garrison Hurst. And Hurst finds some room up over the 25-yard line out to the 27. Kevin Battle is the man who got in on the tackle. It's going to be a gain of 6 on the play. Everybody has been talking about the influence of Wayne McDuffie, who is the offensive coordinator now for Ray Goff, with the increased passing they've done. But what it has also allowed, as you see the booth upstairs with the Georgia Tech or the Georgia coaching staff, it's allowed their running game to get better. Hurst and Ware more than 6 yards of carry out of their scat back spot. 2nd and 4. Play action twice for Zeier. Big rush is on. Kimsey is got it. Richard Kimsey sets Zeier back down at the 17-yard line. Sack number 4 for Richard Kimsey, and sack number 43 this year for that Georgia Tech defense. And the amazing thing, Steve, they can do so much of that with just the 4 guys up front. They have such good quickness up front. 3rd down and long. There's the Wayne McDuffie influence. Ray Goff, considered one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play at Georgia, and those were his career yards. And this is Eric Zeier. His career has only spanned, what, 7 games? That's the difference, and it's a big difference. And we've got a timeout on the field called by Georgia. So both teams on their first or early offensive series have to take some time to talk things over. We have 9:35 left to go in the first quarter of play. Timeout on the field. Georgia Tech leading 2-0. We now pause for a word from your local station. 30th would use that piece of equipment here, but it's warm here today, around 70 degrees, turning upper 60s. No sun yet, but it's muggy. 3rd down and 13 now for the Georgia Bulldogs, who trail 2-0. Thanks to a safety by Mike Williams. Out of the shotgun, Eric Zeier. Rushes on. He gets rid of it just in time to Marshall. Marshall trying to carve up some running room. Gets to the 26. And fell a yard shy. The first down marker, or actually about 5 yards shy. Ken Swilling and Mike Williams come up to make the tackle on Marshall, and it's going to be 4th down. Again, Georgia is forced to throw short. You can credit some of this to coverage, but you can also credit a lot of it to the pressure on the young freshman quarterback. He is a little bit gun-shy, and deservedly so thus far. Harlan Williams really came in on him that time. Stuart Saucy's punt, fielded on the run by Willie Clay, almost ran into his own player and was driven back to the 43-yard line. Drew David, who is the snapper on the punt, makes the tackle. Let's go to the sidelines to Mike Hogwood.
Guys, in a game where there's high emotion, usually after the first couple of minutes, you can sense things kind of calming down a little bit. Not in this game. I've been on both benches, and they're still really pumped up. You saw Jason Bender's punt a few minutes ago. The defense are still teeing off and high-fiving each other. This emotional level is keeping going all the way through this first quarter.
1st and 10 at the 30, or actually the 43-yard line. 2 tight ends. Lone setback, that's David Hendricks. He gets the call. Slips his way out to the 49-yard line. Ralph Friedgen, offensive coordinator of Georgia Tech, said that type of play has to succeed for Georgia Tech this afternoon. And it would have gotten more. He slipped as he came towards Chuck Carswell. You'll see Georgia Tech go to this one-back to spread out a defensive front that is not overly big. From a physical point of view, Georgia is going to give way to Georgia Tech, and the Jackets want to take advantage of that. 2nd and 5. The setbacks. Jones will call his own number. Knocked out of bounds at the 44-yard line of Georgia. He's got the first down. Ralph Thompson was the man who drove him out of bounds. Moving ever closer to becoming the first Georgia Tech running quarterback is probably the best way to describe it, to run for more than 1,000 yards in his career. Sean now up over 970 in 3 seasons here with the Yellow Jackets. First down this afternoon. And Jones battling from the Georgia 44. Georgia showing blitz. Smith pass to Smith. Smith has some open territory. Thompson brings him down along with Greg Jackson at the 24-yard line. It's a gain of 20. What a great addition, Michael Smith, the utility man for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets this year. That's his 21st reception. He is second on the team now in catches, and look at the move he put on John Allen. Good recognition as well of the blitz from Greg Jackson by Sean Jones. He said, all right, you're going to blitz, and we're going to throw the ball right where you left. 1st and 10. Georgia now moving it to Georgia Tech on the Georgia 24. Merchant in motion. End around fake. Jones headed to the 20. Down to the 18. Brought down on the play by Mitch Davis. But watch that end around action, Jack. I got a feeling we'll see that a little bit later with a different result. Well, they've run a lot of reverses this year without a lot of success, but sometimes you just use it to show it. And Georgia has to respect it. And of course, the fine speed. There aren't many 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the 40 like Sean Jones in this country who know what to do running the ball as well as he does. Yellow Jackets 2nd and 3. At the Georgia 18-yard line. Michael Smith gets up inside of tackle by David Hendricks and gets over the 15 down to the 14-yard line. Going to be a first down. Kurt Douglas, the defensive lineman, makes the play. There is a flag down at the 10-yard line. Usually in the area where you may get some kind of illegal block or personal foul. And it looked like they indicated quickly there a personal foul against the Bulldogs of Georgia. I'll mark it down to the 7, half the distance to the goal line on this one.
Unsportsmanlike toning foul. Against the defense, half the distance, first down.
Al Ford, who is a Southeastern Conference referee, heads our crew, this split crew here this afternoon, and you heard him say taunting for the unsportsmanlike conduct. Of course, in a game like this, you're going to get a lot of conversation. The sheer number of players on both squads from right here in the state of Georgia is phenomenal. So these guys have known each other for a while. 1st and goal for the Yellow Jackets. Stegall in motion. Hendricks the lone setback. Jones throwing for the corner for Rodriguez. Covering on the play is George Wynn. Little fade route into the corner. Thought they could catch Georgia expecting the run, and the senior George Wynn from right here in Atlanta, out of Fulton High School in Atlanta, with good coverage on Bobby Rodriguez. I got to tell you, as pass coverage goes, that might be the hardest pattern to cover, that fade route, because you never know where the ball is. You're just hoping you're in the neighborhood. And with such a short distance to work at, you have very little time to react. Merchant in motion. Jones, quarterback draw. Not much there. Looked like some daylight had sprung open. He couldn't get back to the 6. John Allen, the first man to hit him, but a host of people follow. I have to make one correction. I made the assumption that it was a split crew between the Southeastern Conference and the Atlantic Coast Conference. This entire officiating crew is from the Southeastern Conference. 3rd down and goal coming for Georgia Tech. There you see the type of battles that take place all over this state today. Not only in the arena, but likely right in your living room. 3rd and goal, 2-0 Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets have it on the Georgia 6. Jones to throw, has a man, Smith, but a nice play made on the play by Dwayne Simmons. The deep train derails Michael Smith right at the 6-yard line. Nice stand by the Georgia defense. They did not want to fall behind 9-0. The Yellow Jackets will be forced to settle for a field goal try. Scott Sisson to do the damage, looking for his 10th field goal of the season out of the hold of Bill Weaver. This will be a 24-yard attempt. From the hash mark, sometimes these are the most difficult. Kick is up, and it is good. And Georgia Tech furthers their lead ever so slightly. 5-0. The Yellow Jackets lead the Bulldogs. We'll be back.
A lot of cars.
Welcome back to Atlanta. Georgia Tech steps out in front of Georgia 5-0 on a Scott Sisson field goal of 24 yards, his 10th kick of the season in 16 attempts. We've still not seen a team cross the end zone in a touchdown yet. 4:50 left to go in the first quarter of play. Andre Hastings at the 4 from Alan Waters. Right up the middle. He's a dangerous one, and he gets out to the 32-yard line. Brought down by Michael Williams first of all, and Lethon Flowers of Georgia Tech. The 26-yard return, the scoring drive you see there, 4 minutes and 4 seconds. A 24-yard field goal by Sisson. Georgia Tech on first down averaged 7.8 yards. However, Georgia batting things down on 3rd and 4th. 1st and 10, Eric Zier back at work. Garrison Hurst. Big opening off the right side, and he's on his way. All the way for a Georgia touchdown. Yards downfield. They caught Ken Swilling, the strong safety for Georgia Tech, stepping up. And when he couldn't make the play, Garrison Hurst had nothing but daylight in front of him. Watch the left side of your screen. Swilling steps up, and Hurst just ran right by him. The sophomore out of Lincolnton, Georgia, his longest touchdown run of the season, his 9th touchdown of the year as he ran by Kevin Peoples. Peterson on for the point after. It is good. It took Georgia Tech 8 minutes to pile up 5 points. Georgia gets 7 in the space of 17 seconds. Well, Garrison Hurst has carried the ball twice for 75 yards. That's a pretty good average for a carry. They have been having problems against the pressure of the Georgia Tech front line. He got a great block from Lamont Tellis, did Garrison Hurst, the pulling guard on the play. And it was a new wrinkle because, as a rule, Georgia does not do a lot of trapping. They do not do much in the way of countering. When they run the ball, they're pretty much of an isolation, toss sweep kind of team. But right there, they ran Lamont Tellis as the pulling guard, and he made a great block right at the point of attack on the line of scrimmage, and Hurst showed excellent speed. He was a lot faster than Ken Swilling thought he was going to be, because Swilling thought he was in position, and Hurst just ran right away from him. Oh, he had at least 4 yards by the time Swilling thought he could catch up. Jason McGill is back to receive the kick of Todd Peterson. The specialty duties are split with Georgia. Cannon Parkman handles the field goals and the point, and handles the field goals, and then the kickoffs and the point afters are handled by Todd Peterson. Transfer out of Navy. He gets some air underneath it. Fair catch is called for. Originally back there by Georgia Tech, they called for a fair catch. That was Tim Johnson, who waved his arm signaling for the fair catch as the ball looked like it was going to his area, and then McGill circled under it, and the referee wouldn't let him move. Watch the play. Right there, Tim Johnson, I don't know if he realized he was making a fair catch call. McGill then called him off, but the officials took that as a fair catch indication, and they should have. That's not what Georgia Tech wanted to do. Garrison Hurst, the star so far for the Bulldogs. 7-5. Georgia leading in the game. Georgia Tech at work at their own 19. Jimmy Lincoln. Runs into his own man, but then recovers nicely out to the 25-yard line. Carlo Butler is in on the tackle. It's going to be a gain of about 6.
Jimmy Lincoln with a good shot at going over 900 yards on the year. The freshman, the rookie of the year, if you will, in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Bothered at mid-year with 2 very sore ankles, but he's back at full strength and running much stronger as the year has progressed.
And into the game needing 21 yards to set a new Georgia Tech freshman running mark. He had 846 yards coming in. And off to Lincoln. He won't get it on that play. Dwayne Simmons, first man in.
I was going to say, Dwayne Simmons, very, very impressive. It always jumps out at you, Steve, when you see a guy playing inside linebacker at less than 210 pounds. So you know there has to be some great ability in other areas because the size is not a factor. And you saw it right there. He just outran Georgia Tech's hopes that time and makes it a 3rd and medium situation to 3rd and long for Sean Jones.
Loss of 2 by Lincoln on the play brings up 3rd and 6. Georgia Tech trailing Georgia 7-5. Drop back for Jones. Has time, has a man. McGill complete at the 38-yard line. Gain of 15 on the play. Chuck Carswell with a tackle.
Jason McGill, who played a lot as a true freshman a year ago out of Miami, Florida, has seen increasing time as the year has progressed. They like the talent of this young man. Excellent speed. Did a good job of using his body. Watch him get his body between the quarterback and the deep man Carswell. That way there is no ability for Carswell to drive through and strip that ball away.
Keenan Walker is into the ball game. Caught an 82-yarder against Maryland earlier this season. He's at the slot. This is going to be a straight handoff, though, to Wilkerson, the fullback. And Tom Wallace is the man who catches up with Rodney Wilkerson, the true freshman out of Franklin, Georgia.
The crowd momentarily drained, I think. We've had such an exciting opening period with 2:25 to play here in the first quarter. And how would you say just 12 points would be exciting? Well, it certainly has been.
2:18 left. Clock moving. Stay tuned. At the conclusion of today's game, we'll be selecting a Schick Most Valuable Player from each team. Georgia band on the far sideline. A good contingent of Georgia red you see over there. 2nd down and 6. Jones on the wing has a man complete. And they're trying to say he's out of bounds. That was Greg Lester. George Wynn covering on the play. Would have been a magnificent catch by Lester at East Stadium.
Greg Lester, who has battled injuries throughout his Georgia Tech career, having a great season, went high in the air for that one, and apparently just didn't quite get that foot down in bounds.
Well, he tried, though.
He sure did.
He gave it a stab down there, but it wasn't to be. Lester with 34 catches. He's 5th, the all-time Georgia Tech receiving chart. 3rd and 6. Tech trailing by 2. First quarter, final 2 minutes of play. They're at their own 41. Blitz is on by Greg Jackson. Jones gets rid of it to Hendricks. He slips and falls at the 42. Gain of 1 brings out the punting unit.
Wanted to run the screen, and the pressure from Greg Jackson disrupted it so quickly that the rest of the Georgia defense was able to recognize the screen. And then David Hendricks couldn't keep his footing along the near sidelines. He had a blocker or 2 out in front of him. And I don't think he would have got the first down anyway. Good effort by Jackson.
Bender cracked off a 58-yarder. This one's not bad. Carswell driven back to his own 10. He's got a returnable kick, and he is hit right at the 19-yard line by Jim O'Leary. A 48-yard boot by Bender, a 9-yard return, and a great hit by O'Leary.
Watch Tim O'Leary right here step up and say, see you later.
Let's go to the sidelines and Mike Hogwood.
Guys, as you watch Georgia play, you may notice that they have a black heart on their left shoulder. That's in memory of 5 members of the Georgia athletic family who passed away over the past year. Frank Sinkwich, the former Heisman Trophy winner, Howard Beavis, Howard Hollis, Speck Towns, and Joel Eves.
Larry Ware is the ball carrier for Georgia on first down. He brings it out to the 25-yard line. A gain actually out to the 26. Bill Noose in on the tackle for Georgia Tech.
Many times the best way to attack a very quick defensive lineman is to run right at him. And right now, Georgia is running right at Coleman Rudolph.
You run at him, he can't run at you. He's going to stay home and defend. Flag on the play against the defense as Zier gets a free one. Out to Maxwell, complete. Brought down at the 41-yard line. Willie Clay covering on the play. We've got a whistle and the flag back at the line of scrimmage.
They'll bring this one back. I think we might have had motion by Larry Ware.
Ray Goff looking on.
Illegal motion on the offense. 3 feet in the second down.
So take the play away from Eric Zier. And with 31 seconds left to go, it'll be first down once again. But
there's that black card that Mike Hogwood was talking about. It'll only be officially a 5-yard penalty, but it's about a 40-yard penalty, losing that fine completion downfield to Arthur Marshall.
it's second down and 9. All at the 21-yard line. Strong and Ware, the running backs. This is Ware. Big hole. He's in the secondary. Curly Day has to bring him down with a shoestringer at the 35-yard line. Kevin Peoples helped out. It's going to be good enough for a first down.
Great down block by the tackle, Alec Millen, number 71, right there on Coleman Rudolph. They're pushing Rudolph down the line of scrimmage and running to the outside.
Millen transferred to Georgia from North Carolina as the first quarter now comes to an end. It's been an interesting, exciting, and yes, an emotional first quarter of play. Georgia on a 69-yard run has taken a 7-5 lead.
After investing heavily in junk bonds, some financial institutions have taken a bit of a fall.
Steve Martin, Jack Corrigan, Mike Hogwood with you for JP Sports Exxon Game of the Week. Our ACC encounter finds Georgia leading Georgia Tech 7-5. The ACC meets the SEC here in a traditional rivalry. First and 10. Georgia at their own 35-yard line. And off to Larry Ware. That's Larry's shortest gain from scrimmage so far this afternoon. After the 38, it's a 3-yard gain, and Marlon Williams has the tackle.
First quarter number is favoring the Georgia Bulldogs. Of course, a long touchdown run will do that for you. Georgia, we expected to come in throwing the ball, and I'm sure they're still going to have to do it, but they've enjoyed outstanding success on the ground. Georgia Tech not able to take as much advantage of good field position as they wanted to.
Despite having the ball 9 minutes to Georgia's 5. Second down and 7. Georgia Tech showing blitz. Larry Ware gets beyond it and gets the first down. Out to the 47-yard line. Kevin Peoples has to make the stop along with Jarrell Williams.
One more look at Larry Ware's first down run as they did a good job. The fullback, Max Strong, picking up the blitz of Eric Fry, producing the block that sprung him. Here's Coleman Rudolph, the guy they've been running at a lot, and you can see right there Alec Millen with the standoff on Rudolph, and that was enough for Ware to get by and get the yardage.
First and 10. Zier checking off the line of scrimmage. 3-step drop. Right to Hastings. Complete to the 35-yard line. Brought down by Eric Fry, Willie Clay, and Kevin Peoples. Nice gain on the play of 20 yards almost.
Well, Hastings is a big target, 6'2", about 185, the great speed. So you many times run these real safe patterns that end up being big plays because he makes so much happen after he catches the football.
There's Hastings as Zier has completed, actually attempted his 264th pass of the season. That surpasses Zeke Bartkowski's record in 1952. Here's Ware, headed in the corner.
Pass.
Marshall is the target. Willie Clay knocks it away. Willie Clay, that is the 5th in the series of Georgia mascots.
Larry Ware shows this a little too early. And then when it is strung out by Marlon Williams, he throws up
a jump ball. Yeah, Willie Clay, well, got a lot of good basketball in the Clay family. Ask his Uncle Dwight, but he couldn't come down with that rebound that time. Second down and 10 for Eric Zeier, and a whistle on the play. They're going to change the spot of the football closer to the left hash mark. Send Georgia back into the huddle once more and start playing once again. 13:21 left to go here in the first half. Georgia Tech with a safety started off the scoring. Mike Williams recovering a blocked punt in the end zone. Actually, it was knocked out of the end zone by the Georgia punter. Then a 24-yard field goal. That put Georgia Tech up 5-0, and then Garrison Hurst on one play, 69 yards. Larry Ware has the ball, and he is wrestled down by Kevin Battle and Marlon Williams. At the 34-yard line, it's a gain of about 2. The battleship, Kevin Battle, the junior from right here in Atlanta, that time using all of his 300 pounds to stop the play for a little gain. Bring up a big third down play here for Zeier, who has responded very nicely. Georgia all year has been 37% on third down. Got Hastings and Clay one-on-one on the top of the screen. Zeier looking right at it. Kevin Peoples arrived at just the same time. And it's fourth down. Kevin Peoples, who played so well in the absence of Ken Swilling early in the year before he got hurt. This gentleman loves contact. Cannon Parkman from Stone Mountain, Georgia, will be out there to attempt his longest field goal of the season. 51 yards. And it is no good. The Georgia Tech defense has held, with Georgia moving the ball to the 34-yard line. Georgia leading Georgia Tech 7-5.
The testing lasted 2 years.
Welcome back to Atlanta on this holiday weekend. We're glad that you've made us a part of your Saturday viewing. Georgia leading Georgia Tech 7-5. The game has offered us just about everything we thought it would in terms of excitement. Georgia Tech now has the ball back at their own 34-yard line. Draw play, Michael Smith. Gets up over the 35 to the 37, maybe the 38. On the tackle, Tom Wallace. Also Damon Ward in the vicinity. Enough hitting going on there on the line of scrimmage that Scott Gold, the right guard, number 75 for Georgia Tech, had his helmet knocked off. Gold will come back to the huddle and place that essential piece of warfare.
Kind of hard to play without it.
Yeah. I think those guys went without face masks so long ago. That's when you played, right?
No comment.
Second down and 6. Play action. The pass complete to Anthony Rice out to the 45-yard line of Georgia. Driven out of bounds by Mike Jones, brother of Georgia Tech quarterback Sean Jones.
15th catch of the season for Anthony Rice, a sophomore out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I think this has been one of the progressions of the Georgia Tech offense as the year has gone on. The ability to find the backs out of the backfield and the tight ends. Rice, who got a lot of playing time when Covington had some injury problems, has really come on.
First and 10. Georgia Tech at the Georgia 45. Stegall in motion. Straight drop back. Screen pass complete to Smith. Smith with some running room. Gets himself knocked out of bounds at the 36-yard line. It's going to be a gain of 8 on the play. David Hargett and Dwayne Simmons over there to make the stop.
Well, the speed of Dwayne Simmons is something. He can't step up quickly enough. Number 42 right there just went out of your screen to catch Smith before he turned the corner, but he made it shorter than it could have been. But otherwise, there wasn't much help besides David Hargett. He is an impressive inside linebacker for his speed.
Second and 2. Jones today is 6 for 8 passing, 62 yards. Deep handoff to Smith. He's close to the first down and likely has it. at the 33-yard line of Georgia. Let's go to the sidelines and Mike Hogwood.
Well, Steve, you mentioned a moment ago about Mike Jones making a tackle. Yes, he is Sean Jones' brother, and you got to wonder what's going on in the living room right now at Valdosta, Georgia, as the Jones brothers are out here and kind of a family feud today. One a Bulldog and one a Yellow Jacket. But after the game, I can tell you one thing, they'll have a lot to talk about.
Ralph Friedgen, the offensive coordinator for Georgia Tech, told me that Sean and Mike had dinner on Thanksgiving at relative's house here in the Atlanta area. They didn't talk about the game at all, but apparently later on they had a game of spades, and Mike was the winner in the card game, and Sean wasn't real happy about it. We asked him about it yesterday, and he kind of gave us a frown and said no comment.
He kind of felt that he was going to take it out today on his brother. Georgia Tech with the first down at the 34. Pass is knocked away by Carlo Butler. Intended for Jason McGill.
Richard Bell, the fine defensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs, says that his outside linebacking quartet, the four of them, Ward, Davis, Jackson, and Butler, work well on not only pressuring the quarterback, but getting their hands up and doing a job to disrupt that quick slant pass. You saw Butler, the sophomore, do it nicely right there.
Double tight end set now for Georgia Tech. Stegall and Lester, the wideouts. That's Stegall in motion on 2nd and 10. Flag down on the play. Pass over the middle, nearly incomplete, nearly intercepted by Mike Jones.
Oh, would he have wanted that one to put in his brother's face for the rest of the school year. I think we had illegal motion on the part of Georgia Tech in the backfield. See if Georgia wants the down or the distance.
Illegal shift against the offense. Decline. Going to be 3rd down.
3rd down at the 33. Let's see it.
Unless you're playing in Canada, you can't have 2 men in motion. And Mike Jones, I mean, he eyeballed this one all the way.
I wonder how long it's been since those two have played pass. They almost did inadvertently that time. Nickel defensive package in for Georgia. 3rd and 10. Georgia Tech trailing 7-5. Stepping up, Jones, intended for Rodriguez. Covering on the play, David Hargett.
Bobby Rodriguez running the curl route had a chance to come down with this one, whether it was just a little too tall or a little too hard. But one of the chinks in the armor for the Georgia Tech offense this year, too many drop balls. And that's a tough catch, but Bobby, I'm sure, would tell you that he's made that kind of catch before, and Bobby Ross wishes he would have made another one. So we'll get Scott Sisson to try a long field goal now.
51 yards. It would equal his longest of the season against Penn State, and it would give Georgia Tech the lead. 10:28 left to go from the right hash marker in the 2nd quarter. Bill Weaver, the holder. There's the kick. And it gets in there. Georgia Tech retakes the lead.
He could have made that from 60 yards. Boy, did he nail that one.
He was practicing from that distance in pregame and hit several regularly.
10th field goal of the season, making the 11th field goal of the season now for Scott Sisson, junior out of Marietta, Georgia. Boy, did he nail that one.
He had an extra 10 yards on that thing. Difficult angle, too, going from that right hash mark.
Now you know why on the Centennial team, the all-time team here for Georgia Tech, in 100 years of Georgia Tech football, Scott Sisson was named the place kicker. Well, when you win a lot of games in the closing seconds like he did and has done and probably still will do so in the future, that's why you get on that team.
He's had 6 last-minute field goals that have either given Georgia Tech a win or a tie. He hit one this season against Virginia.
But you could see on that end zone replay how high up in the uprights that ball was when it crossed the crossbar.
That was headed for downtown, no doubt about that. Alan Waters is in to kick off. Hastings circles under this at the 7. Hastings finds an opening out over the 30-yard line to the 33. Lethan Flowers in on the tackle. It's a 25-yard return for Andre Hastings.
Doesn't he excite you every time he touches the ball? I can see why people are so pepped up on this young man. Of course, Paul Zimmerman, the pro football writer for Sports Illustrated, made Hastings the All-Pro of the 1995 team when he was still in high school.
And you know, Georgia won a recruiting battle for him. A lot of big schools involved with him. This is Garrison Hurst. Last time he went for 69. This one will be considerably shorter.
Eric Fry was able to get a piece of him to slow him down for Kevin Battle and company. Not only have they done a pretty good job, the Georgia front, on Coleman Rudolph so far, they've kept Jarrell Williams away from the point of attack so far. Eric Fry stepping up. He might not get credit for the tackle there, but left him out there long enough for Battle to do the job.
Gain of 4, 2nd and 6. Hurst again on the pitch. Coleman misses from behind. Jarrell Williams knocks him out of bounds at the 43-yard line. It's a gain of about 7, and it's going to be very close to the first down. They got him out at the 42.
When we were preparing for this telecast, because we're working every week, we don't get that much of a chance to see the Georgia team play. And we had heard so much about Eric Zeier, and deservedly so, but Steve and I both felt that they must be doing something right with their running game if you had Hurst and Ware coming in averaging over 6 yards a carry, and they have been impressive.
Yesterday, Nebraska locked up the Orange Bowl bid with a 19-14 win, and of course in action this afternoon, Tennessee and Knoxville is beating Vanderbilt 14-0.
And I think with Nebraska beating Oklahoma, I think the Sooners then become Virginia's opponent in the Gator Bowl.
The Gator Bowl, and Colorado goes to the Blockbuster Bowl. There's the defensive coordinator. Well, no, that's Pat Watson. He's the offensive line coach for Georgia Tech. Talking with the offensive lineman for the next possession. 1st and 10. They get the first down, and Zeier is back to throw. He wants Maxwell downfield on a down and out. Curly Day and Kevin Peoples are cover.
He checked off at the line of scrimmage because he sensed Marco Coleman blitzing on the play. Tried to catch Kevin Maxwell on just a little fade up the sidelines. That's the same play you run in the end zone. You're just trying to find that hole between the underneath coverage and the deep safety.
Haven't talked about Marco Coleman an awful lot here this afternoon. Georgia Tech, or rather Georgia's kept him pretty much in check. Garrison Hurst on the delay handoff. Kevin Battle carries him. Well, he carries Battle, and that's quite a load out over the 50-yard line.
Wayne McDuffie, the offensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs, said, you know, talent-wise up front, we're not all that great. He says, but we work hard. Well, they've been working pretty effectively, that up front group.
Working overtime here. 3rd down and less than 2. Maybe 1. Georgia trailing Georgia Tech 8-7. Zeier to Hurst. First down. And more. Curly Day knocks him out of bounds at the 39-yard line. It's going to be a gain of 10. Frank Harvey with a good block.
Frank Harvey, the running back, or the fullback in other terminology, number 7, steps up and makes a good block on Eric Fry, and that sprung Hurst around the corner. They also got a good block from Lamont Tellis, who was pulling again on the play.
6 carries, 106 yards for Garrison Hurst. We're only not even halfway through the 2nd quarter yet. 1st and 10. Zeier being chased. Throws just at the last second to Andre Hastings, incomplete at the 25-yard line. Player is down on the play.
Kevin Battle is the guy who looks to be injured on the play. Marco Coleman and Coleman Rudolph were the guys putting the pressure on Zeier. I think a few of the Tech fans thought that Rudolph was being held as he put the pressure on. You see Coleman working against Alec Millen. Millen doing a good job, and then Coleman with that speed putting the pressure on Zeier, who really just threw this ball away.
Battle didn't want to come out. Look at Bobby Ross. And Kevin Battle talk things over.
Unsportsmanlike conduct called against Georgia Tech. That's why Bobby Ross is mad, because of what Kevin Battle said or did as he went off the field.
It marches Georgia down to the Georgia Tech 24-yard line.
Here, instead of 2nd and long, it's 1st and 10 down in the red zone.
Wow. Battle is hot. 1st and 10, Georgia. Handoff goes to Strong.
Another flag.
Driven back by Tom Johnson, the first to hit him. Flag on the play, as Jack said, looks like possibly a hold. Kimsey comes off holding his back. Battle is still on the sidelines.
Ray Goff, I'm sure in his mind, is saying, what is this, a make good call or what?
Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty, repeating first down.
And of course, over on the Georgia Tech side, the defensive staff is probably saying, well, they've been holding us every down. Yeah, right there is the hold, I would guess. As you can see, Bernard Williams with a good grasp on the jersey. You have to stay inside the frame, inside the shoulders. When you reach around to the back, you're usually in trouble.
1st and 20 at the 34. Desire to throw, wants Hastings complete. At the 28-yard line, a gain of 6. Willie Clay makes the tackle.
You can see the respect that even an outstanding cornerback like Willie Clay has for Andre Hastings. He's going to back off here. He's going to make sure the ball is thrown underneath before he fully commits himself. Willing to let him get the 5 or 6 and not beat him deep.
That is the 2nd highest single season total. And he has the highest single season reception total with 46. Pass to him again is incomplete. Clay and Swilling cover.
A wide receiver, if he wants to put himself in the elite class, has to be able to run passes over the middle. But I gotta believe in the back of Andre Hastings' mind just a little bit, he knows running over the middle this afternoon is going to be as tough as he can run it with people like Swilling and Kevin Peoples on the inside.
There you see what Georgia's done on 3rd down. They trail 8-7. Hurst. First down at the 12-yard line.
Great block by Arthur Marshall downfield on Curly Day, the cornerback, to get the first down. And an excellent play call by Ray Goff's offensive staff. Garrison Hurst has been the story of the first 2 quarters. Good block as well by Lamont Tellis right there on Eric Fry. And then right there on the right side of your screen, Arthur Marshall kept Curly Day occupied enough for Hurst to run over 120 yards now in the afternoon.
1st and 10 at the 11-yard line. Pitch to Hurst. Hit by Jarrell Williams. At the 9-yard line, but he squirted ahead to the 8. So they'll give him 3 yards on the play. Kevin Battle is back on the field for Georgia Tech.
Jarrell Williams this time, number 45, recognizes a play. Look at the acceleration into the hole, and he gets a piece of the lower leg of Hurst and stops him after just a couple.
2nd down and 7. Georgia can get a first down right at the 1. Hastings and Marshall, the wideouts. Hurst hit at the line. Curly Day tries to bring him down at the 2.
Very close to a first down. Great elusiveness. He stepped right out of the tackle attempt of Eric Fry.
He's going to be shy of the first down. They're going to mark him back to the 2-yard line. They need the 1 for the first.
He was a high school All-American out of Lincoln County High School here in Georgia. He just keeps pushing and driving and fighting. 5'11", 195, the sophomore. He's got over 1,600 yards in 2 seasons with the Bulldogs.
2 yards for a touchdown, 1 yard for a first down. 3rd and 1. Georgia trailing 8-7. Strong has the first down going to be stopped at the 1, it looks like.
Kimzey and Marco Coleman with the hits, and you got to give Max Strong some credit for hanging out of the football, because he really took a pop. And it looked like for a moment that he was going to lose the possession of the ball. Watch the left side of your screen. As he gets hit here, look at that helmet right on the ball, and somehow he is able to gather it back in. Look at the effort there to hang on to the football. Marlon Williams got a hat right on the ball. And Strong was able to somehow gather that ball back in with his left arm and leg and keep the Georgia drive alive.
It started at the 32. It's in its 14th play. And the Georgia Tech 1, first and goal. First and Harvey, the setback. That's Harvey in the end zone for the touchdown. Fourth touchdown of the season for Frank Harvey, and Georgia retakes the lead 13-8.
Good push off the line of scrimmage by Jack Swan and Lamont Tellis at center and guard respectively. And Georgia's going to take a timeout. I thought they might think about going for 2.
Well, they're only 5 up. It's been a strange scoring sequence because of the safety. Ray Goff is going to talk about it.
Again, the good push off the line of scrimmage, good block on Kimzey by Tellis. On the line of scrimmage, you got to negate the charge of the defensive lineman and turn him just a little bit to create the seam. And Harvey, at 225 pounds, was able to power his way in, as that T-shirt demonstrates.
Imagine a T-shirt concession today would be quite brisk.
It was all over the place.
This morning at 8 o'clock when we showed up. At halftime, our scholar athlete, the best of the ACC, scores and highlights, and of course, one for the books. And we'll be looking back at a great moment in the rivalry between Georgia and Georgia Tech. So we hope you'll be along with us and stay here for halftime.
And they are going to go for 2. And of course, Malcolm King with the big game in 1984. That will be our one for the books feature this afternoon.
A big Georgia Tech battle between the hedges at Athens. Ray Goff looking on.
Ray participating in this great rivalry, both as a player and coach.
All right, Georgia hoping to force Georgia Tech into a similar decision later on down the line. Going for 2. Zier to throw, has Marshall complete.
Nice extension by Arthur Marshall. They ran the cross, the pick play, and he made a nice effort.
Zier puts Georgia up by 8, 7, 15-8. 15 left to go here in the first half in Atlanta. Georgia leading Georgia Tech 15-8. Steve Martin, Jack Corrigan, Mike Hogwood here in our Exxon ACC Game of the Week from JP Sports, our final installment for the year. Georgia's scoring drive, 14 plays, a 1-yard run by Harvey. A good deal of that distance, 55 yards, go to Garrison Hurst. Jason McGill will not come out of the end zone with this kick from Todd Peterson, and it'll be Georgia Tech taking the ball at their own 20-yard line. Nicely executed drive by Georgia. Zier going to the air only when he had to, because Garrison Hurst had it working on all cylinders.
And that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty certainly didn't hurt their efforts as well. Big 15-yard penalty in Georgia Tech territory against the Jackets. Sean Jones and the Tech offense just maybe about 6 cylinders out of 8 so far. He's performed all right, but not with enough consistency out of his teammates.
Missed his last 3 passes, though he is 6 for 11. And off to Hendricks. And Hendricks gets outside and shows the fans a little bit of what Garrison Hurst has been showing out to the 36-yard line. Nice gain on the play of 16.
You saw Pat Watson, the offensive line coach of Georgia Tech, a little earlier. They go back out with 2 tight ends, spread out that defense. They were able to pin Greg Jackson, the outside linebacker, with one of those tight ends. I think it was Tom Covington or Anthony Rice, one or the other, who made the good block that enabled Hendricks to get around the corner.
He's been missing for about 5 games because of a groin pull. Pitch comes out now to Smith. And Smith gets a good block from Lester. It gets him free out to the 45-yard line. It's a 9-yard gain. There are the purists out there who say you can talk about the run and shoot and the multiple sets and all the wide receivers, but football's still a game of blocking and tackling and pounding away with the football. And here this afternoon we have seen good running from Georgia, and now the Georgia Tech running game starting to crank it up a little bit. 4:37 left in the half. Second down and 1. Almost a free down for Sean Jones. And off goes to Hendricks. Didn't need much. Barnum is the man who wraps him up. And depending on the spot, we'll see. It looks like it's going to be a measurable run here for a first down. Well, he got a right foot spot as opposed to a left foot spot, so that usually gives you about the length of the football more, and that'll probably be enough for the first down. Want to remind you that the announcers for this game are selected and compensated by JP Sports. This broadcast is a copyright presentation. Any use of this broadcast without the express permission of the Atlantic Coast Conference and JP Sports is prohibited. And it is a first down for Georgia Tech by a half a football. It's that right foot spot all the time. That's true. Actually, it really depends on whether that official's right-handed or left-handed. That's the foot he usually sticks out there. He leaned into that one, and Hendricks picks up the first down. First and 10. Georgia Tech moving the ball at their own 46-yard line. Hendricks and Jimmy Lincoln back on for the first time in 2 series, and we have a whistle. Mike Mooney may have moved a little bit early. We've got a flag down on the far sideline. It's an all-SEC officiating.
For the ball with snap movement by an offensive lineman, 5 yards, still first down.
Penalties were a big problem for Bobby Ross's club early in the year, but as Bobby told us yesterday, you have to remember when this Georgia Tech team started, they lost 5 of their top 8 offensive linemen. They, of course, lost their entire starting backfield behind Sean Jones, so they went through a real growth process. Look at the difference in time of possession from the first quarter to the second.
It's evened up in favor of Georgia now. They'll hold about even at 12 minutes. Sean Jones running for his life. Brought down by Jennings and Douglas.
You know who made that play, even though he won't get credit for the tackle, but certainly he'll get credit from his coaches. Dwayne Simmons, the linebacker, moves to the left. He is sitting right in the middle of the screen that Sean Jones wanted to throw. And then he was in big trouble with the pressure from Jennings and Douglas. Dwayne Simmons, he has been the defensive hero of the first half for Georgia, with Garrison Hurst the offensive star.
Second down and 23. Georgia Tech at their own 33-yard line. Headed in reverse. Loss of 7 on that play. Here's a pass complete to Rodriguez. And Rodriguez steps up to the 41-yard line. It'll be a gain of 8. Driven out of bounds by David Hargett. Georgia Tech will still find themselves 15 yards short and looking at third down.
Well, even with all the great ability of a Sean Jones, Georgia Tech has been too often in long yardage situations on third down in this football game after their first 2 possessions, and that's why the offense is stagnated. You allow the defense to try too many things against you when it's third and long.
Georgia Tech trailing 15-8. 2:51 left in the half. Third and 15 at their own 41. Jones out of the pocket. Throws at the last second, and it is intercepted by David Hargett. Picked it out of the hands of Bobby Rodriguez, and that's going to be his 3rd interception of the season.
Sean Jones scrambling away as the pressure was on him again, and he just didn't get enough on this ball. Hoped that Rodriguez could make a play on it, but David Hargett, we talked about him before. He's come back from a broken leg 2 different times in his career.
We've got a break in the action on the change of possession. Georgia leading Georgia Tech 15-8. Welcome back to Atlanta. Oh, don't you love the pageantry of college football? I certainly do. 2:41 left to go in the first half, but we do have to return to football at some point in time. Georgia leading Georgia Tech 15-8 on the Bulldogs after the interception by David Hargett, starting at their own 26-yard line. Zier will check off on the line of scrimmage as Georgia Tech shows a blitz. Now they come. Larry Ware gets by it. Dropped the football momentarily, but he has it at the 34-yard line. It's a nice gain of 8 yards. Jarrell Williams and Jamal Cox in on the tackle, and we have a player down for Georgia. That's going to be Williams, Bernard Williams, the tackle.
Ken Swilling blitzing from the strong safety spot, but they were running away from it. Marlon Williams not able to make a stop on Ware. It was Jamal Cox, one of the inside linebackers, along with Jarrell Williams, who made the play. The big factor in this ballgame, we talked about the third and long situations for Georgia Tech. The last 5 third down plays, they had a sack for 15 yards, a 16-yard completion, but it was longer yardage than that, a completion for no yards, an incompletion, and then the last one, which was intercepted. So the third down and long situations that they have placed themselves in has really has really just made it difficult. I didn't want to say hamstrung or hamstrung. I think so.
I would have put an ED on it.
Didn't want all those grammarians out there jumping all over us. I mean, they do it often enough as it is.
That's true, but that's 1 out of 5 in third downs, and third and long a lot. And of course, this is a series that, of course, Georgia Tech has won the last 2. The last time that there was a long winning streak by one of these two teams, and in particular Georgia Tech, was back in 1957, and it was snapped. And that is a picture of Theron Sapp, a magnificent player for Georgia. One play enabled him to go beyond greatness and become a Bulldog immortal. The drought breaker scored the lone touchdown in Georgia's 7-0 victory over Georgia Tech. That snapped an 8-game losing streak. Second down and 2 coming up now as we look back at the 1991 edition.
Dan Rogers has come into the ball game, a sophomore out of Lyman, South Carolina, to replace Bernard Williams, the injured Bulldog.
Here's the pitch to Ware. Coleman Rudolph, the man who got a shoulder on him as he headed to the 32-yard line. It's going to be a loss on the play of 2 yards.
Curly Day and Marco Coleman this time stepping up as Georgia tried to run the toss to the short side of the field. And Marco Coleman, the All-American, who is the all-time sack leader in Atlantic Coast Conference history. And of course, he is a junior and can return next year, although he might make himself eligible for the NFL draft.
That was a point of controversy most of the week here in Atlanta. Zier throws one to Ware on a shovel pass, and Ware is going to turn what looked like a disaster into a gain to the 41-yard line for a first down. A gain of 9. Mike Williams, Kevin Battle clean it up.
Last week in the game at South Carolina, we saw the Gamecocks do this to try and slow down the rush of Clemson, and Zier, I don't know if that was planned or just a little bit of spontaneity on the move, but it pays off in a big way for Georgia.
Gives the Bulldogs a first down after the 9-yard gain.
They only have 1 timeout left. That might be a factor with 1:50 to play.
Zier checking off. Pass to the flats is incomplete, intended for Hastings, and Willie Clay was in position.
This drives defensive backs crazy. Do I break to the ball, or do I break to the receiver and try and break him in 2 if I can? And that time Willie was looking for the hit on Hastings, and had he been looking a little bit more for the ball, he might have had himself another touchdown.
He's had 9 interceptions thus far this season. Now Willie Clay from Pittsburgh approaches the Georgia Tech stands and exhorts them to a little noise. 2nd and 10, Georgia at their own 41. Zier complete to Marshall. Marshall sees the marker, and he's going to be marked down just short. Driven out of bounds by Jarrell Williams and Curly Day.
They talk about Eric Zier's great vision and excellent accuracy, and what the vision has been today is the anticipation of the blitz. Again, the stunt was on. He picks it up. The hot receiver was Arthur Marshall on the wide side of the field, and he gets nearly first down yardage. Curly Day trying to deny him along with Jarrell Williams, and just a little bit shy. But he did get out of bounds to stop the clock.
with 1:43 to play. And as I said, Georgia with just one timeout remaining. Tech has 2 timeouts left.
Going to be short by about a half a yard. They'll bring up 3rd down and 1. Georgia leading 15-8. 1:43 left.
Now they,
first half.
Excuse me, Steve. They may call 2 plays in the huddle here, since they've got this sort of stop and play because of the set of the football here. Ray Goff can have 2 plays called in the huddle. If you get the first down, you get the timeout momentarily while they move the chains again. Then you get right up on the line of scrimmage and snap the ball and save that timeout.
2nd and inches. Strong and Ware the setbacks. Play comes back in. Handoff goes to Strong. He's got the first down. That'll temporarily stop the clock with 1:38 left.
Might have had a little bit of controversy there had he stopped him, because it was 3rd and 1 and the down marker on the field still had 2nd down. But it's a moot point with the first down.
Could have had another Colorado situation.
Oh. Look at that 9.2. Granted, the long run by Hurst gives you a great number there on your average yards on first down, but that can make a significant difference when you're putting up that kind of effort.
All in Georgia Tech territory at the 48-yard line. Zier with a play fake. And it looked like it was tipped. Hastings can't come back all the way and get it. That stops the clock with 1:17 left.
Well, Montellus chopped down Marco Coleman, or Eric Zier would have been wearing number 95 in blue, because Coleman was ready to take the quarterback. And you see Tellus just dove. I mean, he just laid out and got enough of Coleman, and then it was Marlon Williams who got the pop on Zier and made that ball underthrown.
2nd down and 10. Ball at the 48. 17 remaining. Handoff goes to Ware, and Coleman wraps him up in the backfield. He'll get back to the line of scrimmage.
Marco takes a bow for the Georgia Tech folks. They lined up in a 5-man front that time. Put Marlon, or make it Jarrell Williams as a down lineman as well, and basically lined up Coleman almost like a nose man. He was on the inside there, and he went unblocked.
Clock moving all this time. It shows 51 seconds. Georgia with 1 timeout. Looking at 3rd and 10. They lead 15-8. Zier, big rush on. Pass almost picked off. They say incomplete. Swilling made the play. And Zier was leveled as he got rid of the football.
By guess who? Marco Coleman. It was great. Watch the end of this play. Watch right here. Boom! And Swilling just couldn't get there in time. One more look at that pop. Zier went down and he laid there for a second. Then he rolled over and he looked up to see who was that guy.
4th down and 10. Saucy with the kick. He's already had 1 block. This one will not go far. Although it does take a generous Georgia bounce to the 20-yard line. And it'll be a 28-yard boot. No return. And Sean Jones, armed with 2 timeouts in 31 seconds, has to cover some 80 yards of real estate.
Now Georgia Tech deferred after winning the toss of the coin at the beginning of the game, so they will get the ball to start the second half. That may change their plans as to how aggressive they may pursue the matter here in the final 31 seconds, but Bobby Ross has rarely been accused of being overly conservative, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him air it out here a little bit.
I think a lot depends on what happens on this first down play. Hendricks in a single setback.
2 tight ends in the game.
John Jones looking for the quick out, and he gets Greg Lester complete at the 25-yard line. It'll be a 5-yard gain. Willie Jennings put the pressure on. Lester making the catch. That's his 2nd or 1st of the day. 35 completions on the season.
Took 5 seconds to gain the 5 yards.
26 ticks of the clock remain. There you see how many timeouts Tech has.
Not had an opportunity to get deep against this Georgia secondary thus far.
Double tight end set again for Georgia Tech. Deep handoff comes away to Hendricks, and he
doesn't get far. Gets up about to the 28-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down and 2. Clock moving at 18 seconds, and Georgia Tech doesn't look like they're making any attempt to stop it. Time is just going to roll down, and this first half is going to come to an end, apparently. Georgia Tech trotting off to the locker room, and so time will expire. And Georgia Tech second half. McGill is about 6 yards deep in the end zone, and he hasn't had a chance to return one yet this afternoon. Georgia Tech will bring it out to the 20-yard line. The Yellow Jackets, the next to last series that they had the football before throwing an interception to David Hargett, Sean Jones had his ground game going. They worked the double tight end set. We see Rice and Covington are back on the field once again. We'd expect Georgia Tech to try to mount a fairly sustained march this time around with Hendricks as the lone setback. Merchant split to the bottom. Lester, the speed burner, to the top. Late handoff to Hendricks, headed for the corner. Tries to turn it and gets to about the 21-yard line. John Allen was the man who made the stop.
The difference in the ball game thus far has been the play of the linebackers for the Georgia Bulldogs. Dwayne Simmons and John Allen, the 2 inside linebackers. Allen has been a starter the past 2 years for the Bulldogs. Over 120 tackles this season.
Georgia came out and played with emotion with Vanderbilt in the first half and wound up squandering a big lead. Georgia Tech hopes it kind of took a little bit out of it. John Jones on the corner, throws complete to Lester. No, they say he was out. Georgia Tech coaches jump in on the scene quickly, but the ruling is there, out of bounds at the 34-yard line. It would have been a first down.
Rodney Wilkerson with a good block to get Sean Jones around the corner, and good call by the officials. When you have both those feet coming down so close together with one in and one out, boy, tough to determine there which one hit first. You would have sent that upstairs to the replay officials in the NFL, and they would have said inconclusive.
We would have still be sitting here
upon further review.
Right. 3rd down and 8. Georgia Tech trailing 15-8. Their own 22-yard line. Rush is on. Jones incomplete. Covering on the play was Ralph Thompson. The ball intended for Greg Lester, and so it's 3 downs and out. Not what Bobby Ross had in mind when starting the second half.
John Jones knuckleballed that pass. It looked like he was trying to get a little extra on it and ended up throwing the ball poorly as he short hopped the ball to Lester.
The best yardage of the day charted by Jason Bender. 2 kicks. He's got a 48 and a 58-yarder. Carswell is back to receive. Punt. Carswell back at his 37. Gets up to the 40-yard line. In covering on the play, Steve Farr. It's a 41-yard punt and just a 3-yard return. However, there is a flag down at the 47-yard line, and it apparently will be against Georgia.
Usually a hold or a clip where the flag was thrown about 10 yards upfield from where Carswell caught the Bender punt. Al Ford is going to tell us that it is.
The clip during the run back by the receiving team, 15 yards, be first down.
Welcome to Bobby Dodge Stadium, Grant Field in Atlanta, Georgia, leading Georgia Tech 15-8. And our Exxon ACC Game of the Week from JP Sports are just underway in the 3rd quarter. Steve Martin along with Jack Corrigan and Mike Hogwood. There's Ray Goff, Georgia coach, upset at the turn of events on that penalty. His team pushed back to the 25-yard line now. They've been penalized 5 times. Eric Zier had great numbers in the first half, but he's been very efficient with his use of the pass. His use of that man, Garrison Hurst. Hurst breaks tackles. Knocked out of bounds. They'll knock him out at the 43-yard line. A gain of 18. Mitch Jordan.
Terrell Williams was the guy who got waffled by Shannon Mitchell, the tight end, right there. That was actually Marlon Williams, not Jarrell Williams. It was Jarrell who knocked him out of bounds. And Marco Coleman has had his problems today. Of course, he's going to tell you that I think they're holding me. And right there, they had him on the face mask and pulled a piece of his jersey off.
First down, first again. And he's wrestled down by Marco Coleman as they ran in his direction that time, just at the 42-yard line.
Now, under normal circumstances, you'd tell your defense to go out there, hey, we need a turnover, guys. We got to get the ball back, get our offense going. We got to help them out. That's difficult to do against Georgia. They have turned the ball over only 12 times this year. They are plus 11 in the turnover category. In fact, Wayne McDuffie says he would rather lead the country in that stat than any other offensive stat.
And they do. Second down and 8. Zier checking off. He's been very successful at checking into new plays. This time he's almost picked off, and is by Swilling.
Only the 4th interception of the season. Eric Fry, number 57, made the great play, and then Ken Swilling with his 2nd interception of the year.
For Swilling, it's his 13th career pickoff.
They have kept going to the quick slant to try and stop the stunning, and Fry sat right underneath. As they wanted to go to Hastings, he kept the ball alive. You run the tip drills in practice, and that's why. They wanted Andre Hastings on the slant, and Fry sat right underneath it and forced the turnover.
Boy, did he have some coverage there. First down, option. Pitch back quickly to Jimmy Lincoln. And he is brought down quickly by his opposite number, Dwayne Simmons. There's Eric Fry. Start of the season, Georgia Tech used him only in pass coverage situations. Then he worked himself into a position where they just couldn't do without him. The linebacker spot, and Ken Swilling slowed this season by injury.
Georgia Tech had to do without Swilling for much of the first half of the year. Fry replacing Keldon Tickle has gotten better as the year's gone on.
Second down and 9. Georgia Tech. Georgia 41. Ball play to Jimmy Lincoln, and Georgia Tech has it diagnosed. Douglas made the stop.
Kirk Douglas was a linebacker a year ago at 243 pounds. He's going to be one of the smallest defensive tackles in Division I-A football. But great quickness, a very smart player. Back spasms, they tell us, in the lower back area. The problems for Bernard Williams.
Is that a Sander or something?
I was going to say the same thing.
Third down and 12. Georgia Tech trailing 15-8. Against pressure again, knuckles it out there to Bobby Rodriguez. Greg Jackson and Casey Barnum were breathing down on Sean Jones.
I don't believe Sean has any kind of arm injury that we know of, but he has not been able to deliver the ball at all. Georgia Tech is now 1 for 7 on third down situations, and after Sean completed 6 of his first 8 passes on the afternoon, he is now 8 for 17.
You know, that time he faced a lot of pressure, and I think he saw that he didn't have much time, and I think he just short-armed base. Jason Bender is back there to receive to kick it off. On the front, Chuck Carswell back at the 10. Bender planted inside the 20. Fair catch called for at the 19. So Bender does his job inside the 20-yard line, but Georgia Tech unable to take advantage of the turnover. Georgia leads it 15-8.
Who's got the marketing plan? I do. Salesforce.
Welcome back to Atlanta. Georgia leading Georgia Tech 15-8. 11:55 left to go in the third quarter on this cloudy, gray, but mild day here in Atlanta. Eric Zier brings the Bulldogs out at their own 19, first and 10. Zier with a late handoff to Ware. Ware, grasp of Kevin Battle, among others, gets out to the 22-yard line. It'll be a gain of 3. Let's get down to the sidelines and Mike Hogwood.
Steve, a moment ago, Jack was talking about Sean Jones. Late in the first half, he got what's called a turf burn on his elbow. Knocked off a lot of skin. They bandaged it up, and he has now pads on both elbows, but it is hurting him, and it may be affecting his throwing right now.
Mike Might be the reason why he's throwing a little short in some instances. Defensive pressure might be another. 2nd down and 7. Here comes the handoff. Where? Great acceleration. And then he is stopped up at the 25-yard line. Marlon Williams, who's come on in the 2nd half of the season with some fine big plays for Georgia Tech, makes the tackle.
Talked about the inability of Georgia Tech to convert on 3rd down situations in this ball game so far. Here is a big 3rd down play for Georgia. They don't want to start losing the battle of field position. They've got 3rd and 5 at their own 26.
Up it 15-8. Little movement early. The tight end, Shannon Mitchell, out of Alcoa, Tennessee, got across just to beat ahead of the count, and that is what Ray Goff did not want Georgia to do.
Certainly will change the play call now.
Before the ball was snapped, movement by an offensive lineman. 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Mitchell, who has had a good year in his sophomore season, trying to deal with Marco Coleman there, figured I want to get every advantage I can get against Mr. Coleman. But now Ray Goff's team in a 3rd and long.
They haven't been in this situation too often. The pitch goes to Larry Ware, and he is hit. Pulled off, fumbled the ball. Georgia Tech has got it.
Number 24, Larry Ware.
Jarrell Williams. And a big break for Georgia Tech.
The play was started by Coleman Rudolph knifing through and stopping Ware in his tracks. And he kept trying to spin and twist to get away from Rudolph, and watch the ball pop free. Good pop by Rudolph. And right there, the ball is stripped by Jarrell Williams. It's loose on the ground, and Jarrell falls on it as well. 2nd straight turnover by the Georgia offense.
And they only turned the ball over 12 times coming in. 1st and 10 at the 20. Smith straight ahead, has about 3, maybe 4.
That Georgia defensive front 7 has just been too aggressive, too fast for the offensive line of Georgia Tech, at least to this point in the ball game.
Tom Wallace on the tackle. You saw him limp up there, but he's not going to come out. Now he does.
Now, Georgia Tech has had some good opportunities in terms of field position this afternoon. They have yet to get it in the end zone. 2 field goals and a safety.
2nd down and about 7.5. McGill in motion. To the boundary. Not much there. Carlo Butler, the very physical outside linebacker, came up and made the stop out of Valdosta, Georgia.
Now, there was a little bit of a freshman mistake on Smith's part. Tom Covington, the tight end, had Butler pinned to the sidelines and was shoving him out of bounds, and Smith ran right into Butler instead of cutting back underneath the block of Covington.
So that brings up 3rd down and 9 now. A loss of at least 2 on the play.
That's exactly what Bobby Ross was telling Michael Smith there. You got to plant and cut up field because the block was taking the guy out of bounds.
9:34 left in the 3rd. If Georgia holds here, it would be a major hold. They turn the ball over twice. Georgia Tech yet to convert. 15-8 Georgia. Jones looking for Lincoln. It is complete, but it is shy of the 1st down at the 11-yard line. They need the 9. They're going to be 2 yards shy. John Allen drives him out of bounds.
Big call here by Bobby Ross. Ralph Regent is offensive coordinator upstairs. They're discussing it right now as he goes to Lincoln out of the backfield. Run out of bounds by John Allen with Al Jackson right there. That's Ralph Regent who just stepped up, and Bobby Ross is going to take a timeout because you want to make sure here. You obviously have to come away with something. The question is this the time that we've got to go for the touchdown, or do we think we can come back with more later?
3 gets them within 4. Of course, a touchdown makes up all the difference. Let's take a break now with a word from your local station. Third quarter action. action, the biggest play of the game for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They trail 15-8. They're looking at 4th down and 2 at the Georgia 11-yard line. They've just gotten the ball on a fumble. They would like to capitalize. They need to get the first down here. First down marker at the 9. Wilkerson is back there along with Jimmy Lincoln. Sean Jones. Pass is complete to Jimmy Lincoln at the 7-yard line.
What a catch by Jimmy Lincoln. He was inches off the ground to pick up that pass. The redshirt freshman, the rookie of the year in the ACC. Bending down as low as you could go as John Allen just couldn't quite. Maybe he even got a piece of that ball.
Yeah, he did. He cheered. He looked as if, hey, I knocked that ball away. First and goal for Georgia Tech at the 7. Lincoln at the 4. Thompson, Barnum, and Damon Ward. Ward at the point of attack. First man there with the tackle. Gain of 3. Second and goal from the 4.
Georgia Tech has had some problems. Put some more points here. I like that. Even last year, Steve had problems in the first and goal situation, pounding the ball in. They've got 2 tight ends in the ball game again.
2 wide receivers to spread Georgia out and 1 lone setback. That's David Hendricks. Jones on the corner. In for the touchdown.
If Bobby Ross is going to go for 1, he feels there's going to be a lot more scoring yet to go. An extra point will tie the ball game. Sean Jones with the 16th score of his career, his 8th this season. And he stretched full out to get that ball into the end zone.
He is 8th in rushing touchdowns in Georgia Tech history. Scott Sisson for the important point after. Georgia Tech trailing by a point. They have cashed in on a turnover. Out of the hole to Bill Weaver. There's the kick, and it is good, and we've got a new ball game. 8:22 left to go in the 3rd quarter of play, and it's all tied up at 15 apiece as we watch Sean Jones score the touchdown.
Well, he always provides you that element. Does he pitch it or does he keep it? Got a good block from Tom Covington. No, that's Anthony Rice, the tight end, who spread out the Georgia defense. Watch Rice at the top of your screen, working against Damon Ward. Just enough of a seam for Sean Jones to stretch it out and in through the tackle attempt of John Allen.
Well, Bobby Ross talked at halftime about Georgia Tech not stopping itself. Georgia has turned around and assumed that role here in the second half with 2 possessions, 1 an interception, and the other, of course, the fumble recovery at the 20-yard line. And here's the play, the big 4th and 2 play that kept this drive alive.
Sean Jones on the rollout. He has the option. You see Jimmy Lincoln dropping out there. John Allen, number 44 here, got just a fingertip on that ball. He thought it was enough to deflect it, and Jimmy Lincoln literally caught each end of the football about 3 inches above the turf for the completion.
That kept the drive alive, and 2 plays later, Sean Jones had it in the end zone. At the 13, this is Marshall. Marshall gets the corner. Boy, had he not run into number 61, Boyd Andrews, he might have been on to the races. 27 yards on the return. Georgia's return yardage has been very significant today. They've got talented people back there.
You see the field position for Georgia here in the second half. This obviously their best out of the 39 after 233 yards of offense in the first half. Just 22 so far here in the 3rd quarter, and those 2 big turnovers.
8:16 left. Right at 15. Strong, the runner. Good hard run out to the 43-yard line. It's a gain of 4. Eric Fry was the first man to hit him. Kevin Battle also will get credit for the tackle.
You've can feel the emotion pick up, obviously, on the Georgia Tech side of Bobby Dodd Stadium here. You can also see the hitting getting just a little bit harder out there midway through this third period.
There's Danny Smith, the offensive running back coach for Georgia Tech, talking things over. 2nd down and 6. Harrison Hurst reverses field, and Kimsey is there to hold on to him. Kimsey holds a class reunion over Garrison Hurst's body at the 41-yard line. It's a loss.
Outstanding play on the right side. He won't even make the tackle. Right there, and Marlon Williams, number 56, took on the blocker, stopped the interference in front of Garrison Hurst, forced him to cut back, and Richard Kimsey was right there. Watch Marlon Williams right here. You got to take the hit, sell yourself. Look at all the blockers he tied up.
3rd down and 8 for Ziard. High ball game, 15 apiece. Pass is complete for Andre Hastings at midfield, just a half a yard beyond the first down marker. What a catch. Marlon Williams leveled it.
Like I said, when you are a big-time receiver, you've got to be able to catch the ball over the middle. Marlon Williams and Kevin Peoples really stick it to Andre Hastings, but he stays right with it. Important 3rd down conversion for the Bulldogs.
1st and 10 at midfield, tied at 15. Georgia with the football, Eric Ziard gives off to his fullback, Strong. Georgia's running attack has been most productive. Very few plays have gone for losses. That one will go for a 5-yard gain before Kevin Battle catches up with the tackle.
Tech came into this ball game allowing just 100 yards a game on the ground. Georgia's on its way to a 200-plus afternoon. They had 167 at the intermission, and they've added to that total.
And we still have 6 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. 2nd down and 4. Ziard with play action, looking for Hastings. Plays back, flag on the play.
Now this might get overruled. This might get overruled.
Matter of fact, Swilling was giving the uncatchable ball signal.
The ball was well out of bounds. Now Eric Fry is indicating the penalties against Hastings. Al Ford is going to tell us.
That pass interference against the offense. Loss of down. A 3rd down. 3rd down.
Loss of down as well as the penalty yardage. So instead of 3rd and 4, it's 3rd and 19.
Wow. Back to the 41.
The play, you couldn't tell there. Obviously, the offensive interference must have happened further up the field. Another big penalty against the Bulldogs.
They've had penalties at times work in their favor, as it did on that drive for their go-ahead touchdown in the 2nd quarter. Now it's working against them. 3rd and 19. Tie ball game. Pass complete to Maxwell. He's met immediately by Jarrell Williams and Curly Day. Gain on the play of about 5. So the punting unit is on. Georgia Tech has recaptured the momentum. And Stuart Saucy is on the field. Saucy's had one block today. Gets off a good one. Play at the 9. He's going to let it go in the end zone. Hunt covered at least 60 yards. It was a 53-yarder officially. 5:16 left to go in the 3rd quarter. Georgia Tech getting the football back in a tie ball game at 15. Back in Atlanta, tie ball game at 15 apiece, and Georgia Tech has the football back with 5:16 left to go in the 3rd quarter.
Tight ball game, certainly a normal factor in this rivalry. Lots of close ones, just like today's.
1st and 10. Georgia Tech at their own 20-yard line. Sean Jones with Hendricks has only set that. Goes out left and throws. Too low for Lester, but Carswell was right there handling.
We talked earlier about Georgia doing a good job of not turning the ball over on offense up until the 2 turnovers this afternoon. But if there's a negative in the turnover category, it's that Ray Goff's defense has not forced a lot of turnovers. Just 22 through the first 10 ball games.
Second down. 10 yards to go for Georgia Tech at their own 20. Pitch to Michael Smith. Give him some time to gather it in, and Dwayne Simmons and David Hargett hook up with him on the corner.
Also gives him credit to Mitch Davis, the outside linebacker on the play. Greg Lester was trying to put a block on him, but there was no movement. Again, a 3rd and long situation for Georgia Tech. They came into the game with a 40+ success rate on 3rd down, but Georgia's done a very good job stopping the opposition from succeeding on 3rd down.
They've had Georgia Tech in a lot of 3rd and longs today. Double tight end set. Stegall, the possession receiver. Jump pass to the tight end complete to Rice, and he's going to get his forward progress out to the 22-yard line. Then he fumbled the football. They're going to mark it at the 22.
Georgia fans are unhappy, but it was recovered anyway by Derek Gaucher, so it would have remained in Tech's possession even if it was a fumble. Sean Jones' brother Mike with the big hop on Anthony Rice. See, his forward progress has been stopped. Then the hit by Hargett popped the ball loose, but Gaucher fell on it anyway.
Jason Bender back to kick. Bender, line drive, returnable by Carswell. Carswell gets outside of Rice. Gets outside of Flowers. Gets down to the 39-yard line. Derek Gaucher makes the tackle, but Carswell has set Georgia up in excellent field position. An 18-yard return of the kick by Jason Bender.
We talked about that right at the beginning of our telecast this afternoon, that Carswell was a dangerous weapon in terms of punt returns. Better than 10 yards a return on the season. And Georgia with the advantage now in terms of field position.
Carswell has returned 2 punts in his career for touchdowns. 1st and 10. Evans and Marshall, the wideouts. Here's Garrison Hurst headed to the corner. The yardage hasn't come as easy in the second half as it did in the first. And Curly Day drives him out of bounds right at the line of scrimmage.
I think there are 2 reasons why your last statement has been so true here in the second half, Steve. One, the outside linebackers for Georgia Tech have done a better job of stringing the wide plays out. And then the inside linebackers have done a better job of stepping up once they've seen the play.
Second down, 10. Garrison Hurst gets through the tackle of Kevin Peoples. Swilling has to push him out at the 9.5-yard line.
With people like Walker and Hampton and others through the years, you think of Georgia running backs being the big pounders. But Garrison Hurst, what ability he has to slip tackles. He stepped through 2 tacklers, the last one there, Peoples, then a third, Marlon Williams, before Ken Swilling can run him out of bounds. 1st and goal as Mr. Hurst is on his way towards a 200-yard day himself, 173 yards rushing.
1st and goal. Hurst picks his way back to the line of scrimmage, and Kevin Battle says it will have no more of this.
Coleman Rudolph with that great penetration, again able to make Hurst change directions, and he funneled him right into his big nose guard, Kevin Battle. Kevin just got a word, I think, from the umpire saying, just play the game. Kevin had a little tete-a-tete earlier in the game that cost Georgia Tech a penalty and cost him some time on the sidelines.
And it eventually led to a Georgia touchdown. Second down and goal. Rolling right, Zier trying to reverse. Eric Fry sacked him.
And guess
guess who was in the neighborhood? Coleman Rudolph to funnel the play back in again as Fry drops Zier the second time the Georgia quarterback has been sacked this afternoon. Watch number 92. Look at the great footwork. He just runs outside of Lamont Tellis to force Zier back in, and there's Eric Fry to clean up.
Georgia has allowed Zier to be sacked 9 times over the last 2 coming in and 2 today. 3rd down and goal at the 17. Tie ball game at 15 apiece. Big rush is on. He's hit as he threw. Marco Coleman drilled Zier as he was looking for Andre Hastings.
Willie Clay had good coverage downfield on Hastings in that great battle between 2 outstanding athletes. Marco Coleman with the pressure will force Zier's ball to fall incomplete. Just wasn't able to step through on the ball.
Parkman on for a 34-yard kick. He missed a 51-yarder earlier. For the hold of the punter, Saucy. And it is good. And Georgia regains the lead as they march upfield and nail a 34-yard field goal at the 1:46 mark here in the 3rd quarter. Up by a field goal, 18-15 in the seesaw event. Everything it was billed up to be. Of course, the running of Garrison Hurst got Georgia in position to make the field goal.
It's been the big surprise of the afternoon. We knew Hurst had some good days this year for Georgia, but obviously the best day yet in a Bulldog uniform. And Cannon Parkman right there, number 6 out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, the freshman, getting his 12th field goal of the season. Must be something in the water down there in Stone Mountain. Isn't Chris Gardocki from Stone Mountain the Clemson All-American kicker, and Kevin Butler?
That's right.
Both of those guys with the Bears right now.
And Parkman looking like he might be ready to join that legion. His 51-yard miss wasn't that far off.
To show you how impressive Garrison Hurst has been this afternoon with his 170 yards plus. The previous best against the Georgia Tech defense was Ronald Williams of Clemson with only 102.
He was just 207 shy of 1,000 coming in. McGill, 2 yards deep. He'll bring this one out.
There's a hole.
Georgia plugs it up quickly, making the tackle number 46, Charles Pledger, and number 30, Bill Muskamp. A 29-yard return for Jason McGill, who just recently took over the duty of kickoff returns.
Boy, it looked like that had a chance for a big return, and Charles Pledger did a nice job of stepping in quickly, as well as Muskamp to take what could have been a big return and keep it back in a safer area.
1:40 left in the 3rd. Georgia Tech 1st and 10 at their own 27. Pitch to Lincoln. At the corner, and a great play by David Hargett. He reached through the interference to knock Lincoln down at the 31.
Hargett has had an excellent game at the strong safety position. He's had an interception, some big tackles. He just fights through the block of Greg Lester, senior out of Valdosta. Of course, when you come from Valdosta, you usually know how to play tough football.
Big story in the paper this morning. Valdosta battling LaGrange in the state high school playoffs, and LaGrange won it. Here's Lincoln again for the 1st down at the 40-yard line. An 8-yard gain. The yards to this point have been hard for Lincoln. 9 carries, 20 yards.
Chuck Carswell, the man who knocked him out of bounds, but in this battle of 2 heavyweights, after the flurries of jabs, both teams now pounding away down in the midsection.
And Georgia Tech approaching midfield, 10 yards shy with 1 minute left in the 3rd. Stegall in motion. Misdirection play to Jimmy Lincoln, and Lincoln is close to the 1st down and give him 9+ yards out to midfield.
Russell Freeman providing the escort for Jimmy Lincoln. Dwayne Simmons able to come over and knock him out of bounds, but very close to first down yardage again, and it is a first down. There's Freeman, number 69, the senior out of Homestead, Pennsylvania. Got enough of Simmons to slow him down, and that's why Lincoln picked up first down yardage.
And he has now picked up more yards than any other freshman running back in Georgia Tech history. About 750 yards right there. Jones, the pitch to Lincoln. Carswell shuts him down for a 3-yard loss.
42, Jimmy Lincoln.
I think Georgia Tech said, well, we've run it twice in a row, and they haven't stopped it. Let's see if we can get away with it a third time. Unfortunately for Jimmy Lincoln, there were a few too many people headed up by Chuck Carswell.
Carswell almost got there the same moment the ball did. There's Carswell, the senior at 5'10".
Lincoln gets back to the huddle and he says, Sean, please, let's try a different play.
Go another way. Florida leading Florida State. And Tennessee rolling over Vanderbilt in the third. Our score, 18-15. Georgia leading Georgia Tech. Late in the third. Handoff goes to Wilkerson. Fullback, and he barely gets back to the 50-yard line. It'll be a gain of 2. That's the end of the third quarter. Georgia tacks on a field goal. Georgia Tech scores a touchdown, and it's 18-15 Bulldogs. Welcome back to Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Grant Field and the Georgia Bulldogs leading Georgia Tech by a score of 18-15. Just underway here as we start the fourth quarter. Steve Martin, Jack Corrigan, and Mike Hawkwood. A day where the sun is trying to poke through the clouds here in Atlanta. With a packed house of close to 50,000 watching on. Sean Jones on first down. 3rd and 12. Sprinting out to the corner. He's going to be nailed shy of the first down at the 42-yard line.
I'm sure Sean didn't realize it, but if he would have cut back inside, he probably could have picked up first down yard. It's amazing how he steps out of the tackle attempt of number 56 here, Willie Jennings, who thought he had a sack. But watch, as Jones goes to his left, he's got blockers in front of him, but nobody picked up Chuck Carswell, who stepped forward and forces another Tech punt.
14:51 left in the fourth. Jason Bender is on for the punt. 4th down and 4. Bender booms just inside the pylon. Quite a kick by Bender. He's been on it most of the afternoon, but this one will come out to the 20. 41-yard kick. But boy, that thing just seemed to die as it got up there.
Jason trying to plead his case that that ball went out of bounds before it crossed the end line. It's close. Wow.
Comes out to the 20 where Georgia will take over 1st and 10. Eric Zier has Andre Hastings to the top. Keith Maxwell, Kevin Maxwell to the bottom. And the handoff goes to the fullback, Max Strong. He gets out over the 20 to the 23-yard line. They call him the running back, and the tailback, what would normally be the tailback, is the scat back out of the split back formation for Georgia.
Got nearly 4 yards on the play before Tom Johnson finished him off. He's now getting down to a battle of field position. That's why Georgia Tech elected to punt the ball away, and they're going to ask their defense to make it a 3 and out and give it back to the offense with good field position. Georgia will try and grind out some first downs.
2nd and 6. First back on as a blocker. Zier airing it out for Maxwell. Knocked away by Willie Clay.
Kevin Maxwell made a great break on this ball because Clay had excellent coverage. Maxwell nearly comes up with a sensational effort. See, Clay's running step for step with him, and watch Maxwell. A little bit of a bump that receivers are taught to. If you can use your forearm and your elbow, you usually get away with that bump as opposed to your hand, and it nearly created enough space for Kevin to come up with a catch.
3rd and 6. Georgia leading by a field goal. Hurst of scrimmage by Eric Fry at the 24. No gain on the play. The punt unit is back on. Eric Fry has been the man this afternoon for that Georgia Tech defense. He tipped a pass that was intercepted, and he makes a big third down play here. Junior from right here in Atlanta, civil engineering major. Got some help from Brian Baxter, the nose man. Saucy on the kick. Play at his own 31. He's not going very far. Strong on the tackle. About 44 yards, and Georgia Tech will take the field. They trail 18-15 with 13-17 left. Installment for the season finds Georgia leading Georgia Tech 18-15. Georgia Tech gets the football back at their own 32, 1st and 10. Don Jones at the control. Jimmy Lincoln and David Hendricks in his backfield. Misdirection, cross cut, goes to Lincoln, and Lincoln is out over the 39, out close to the 40-yard line. Wallace is the man who brought him down with David Hargett. Running that counter trap that they do so well. Lincoln this time will cut in front of Scott Gold and Russell Freeman, who are leading the play. You see him on the outside hip of Russell Freeman, then he cuts it back inside, and that enabled him to slip by John Allen. Greg Jackson and Hargett able to finally wrestle him down. One of the most successful first down plays in a while. Here's the pitch to Lincoln. He's got the first. And he's into Georgia Tech territory at the 44-yard line. The tackle made by Chuck Carswell. Well, the first 3 quarters belong to Garrison Hurst of Georgia, and Jimmy Lincoln is trying to put his stamp on the 4th period. That time they were able to get outside around Mitch Davis. And it was Carswell's rolling block that chopped him down. You can see what the Georgia defense has done so well against a high-powered Tech offense this afternoon. 45 yards in the second half with Jimmy Lincoln. 1st and 10 for Georgia Tech at the Georgia 44-yard line. Play action. All batted down nicely by Mitch Davis. Richard Bell told me that Mitch Davis, the sophomore out of Mobile, Alabama, who was a high school All-American out of Bigger High School down there in Mobile, is one of the best pass deflectors he's ever seen. He just has that knack of timing his jump, and he comes away with another one. Registered 4 sacks so far this season and 4 tackles for loss. Tech in the second half is only 12 yards passing. Looking at 2nd and 10. Merchant in motion. Jones to the corner to Lincoln on the pitch. Their most successful play thus far this afternoon, and they've used it a lot to the 39-yard line, a gain of 5. Let's go down to the sidelines and Mike Hogwood.
Well, guys, as you know, we're now in the 4th quarter. We're that time where the coaches say, you know, you raise the 4 fingers and it's who really wants it more. But both these teams, I've been on the sidelines, they really want it. The seniors walking up and down, inspiring each other. I think we're in for a great finish here down the stretch of this game.
11:38 to go. Bobby Ross looking on. His team looking at 3rd down. This may be 4-down territory. Bobby might be thinking, I don't have to get all this in one chunk. I might do it in 2 plays. He's gambled once and won. John Jones hit at the 38-yard line. It's a gain of 1. He'll have to gamble again as John Allen comes up to make the stop. Big play by the senior linebacker, John Allen, because it looked like Sean Jones had some room to pick up the first down. There's space here. But Allen with the angle and the good firm tackle, and then he got help from Mike Jones, Sean's brother, who stepped up to finish off the play, and Bobby Ross decides to punt it and work again on field position. Jason Bender is on. Don't be surprised if Georgia Tech just waits out, maybe takes a delay. They won't. Bender will try it again to kick them deep. And this time he is successful. Coffin corner kick is going to be measured out at the 11-yard line. So Bender does the job. Gets a 27-yard punt, but it nails Georgia inside the 20-yard line. Now you heard the Georgia Tech fans upset. Of course, Al Ford, the referee,
lines the angle of that ball with the back judge there. And of course, you got all these engineering majors here at Georgia Tech, and they know all about angles, and they say, no, that can't be right.
Isn't that a trapezoid? No. Couldn't be. 1st and 10, Georgia with poor field position once again. At the 11-yard line, Garrison Hurst is hit just beyond the line of scrimmage, gets out to about the 12. Brian Baxter, in on the tackle with Raleigh Boulware.
Here's one of the areas that Wayne McDuffie, the offensive coordinator for Georgia, told me he was worried about, because physically they're not all that big and strong as they'd like to be on the offensive line. And now, as the game has worn on, they're losing that battle of the push on the line of scrimmage.
2nd down and 7. Ball at the 14. Garrison Hurst steps outside. Coleman chases him down and puts him down at the 11 for a loss of 3.
Meanwhile, on the Tech sidelines, they discuss what they want to do the next time they have the football. Good penetration by the Georgia Tech defense there on 2nd down. Not only Coleman, but Max Strong, who was trying to lead the play, just got waxed by Coleman Rudolph, and that disrupted the blocking scheme.
3rd and 9. Georgia leading 18-15. Backed up to their own 12. Tech blitzing. Zier throws, incomplete, intended for Arthur Marshall. Hurley Day covering on the play, and Georgia Tech stiffens once again on defense.
Again, it was the pressure. Even though Zier had the time, he didn't feel like he had the time. Wanted to make the perfect throw and just had too much on it. He had Marshall open, and ball just sailed way over his head.
Jamal Cox was blitzing on the play. He got picked up, but you're right. I think Zier felt that somebody else was coming shortly thereafter. Saucy's kick takes a Georgia Tech bounce, and it's finally going to be picked up at the 41-yard line of Georgia. Downing the ball is Earl Fausch. The punt is 29 yards, and Georgia will have to play some hard defense here. The quarterback comparison, there you see it. The yardage, not an awful lot. There's not much to choose from in these two.
Almost exactly the same, as obviously both defenses went into this game saying, we're going to take these two guys out of the game. And what has resulted has been runs out of the tailback spot by Hurst and Lincoln that have been the center stage here in the second half.
1st and 10 at the Georgia 42.
Busted play.
John Jones will pay for it, too, back to the 47-yard line. And right there to make sure that it happens is Damon Ward.
Jimmy Lincoln went right. Sean Jones went left. We don't know which one was the guilty party, but
yeah. Looked like everybody was heading in Sean's direction. Ward, the redshirt freshman from Memphis, Tennessee, in on the tackle. 52 tackles, 3 sacks.
Mike Mooney, the big senior offensive tackle, limps off the field, replaced by Chris Brooks at left tackle.
2nd and long. Georgia Tech at the 46-yard line. Play action pass over the middle, incomplete, intended for McGill. Mike Jones covering on the play.
There is no doubt that the arm is bothering Sean Jones. That was another ball that just wobbled its way out there to Jason McGill and was also behind the wide receiver, slanting over the middle. Watch this ball when it leaves the hand of Sean Jones. I don't know, maybe Casey Barnum got a little piece of it. It's hard to tell, but the ball again wobbled its way out there. Not the tight spiral you'd want to.
Sisson could figure into this if Georgia Tech can get closer, but right now they've got to change 3rd to 1st. And they have 15 yards to do it. Jones is 3 out of 10 here in the second half for just 12 yards. 18-15 Georgia. Looking downfield for Rodriguez. Jones throws it out of bounds. Al Jackson covering on the play in the nickel defense, and Jason Bender will be called upon one more time.
Good pressure from Kurt Douglas as well that didn't allow Sean Jones to set his feet and throw it when he wanted to throw it.
So Bender back out. Jason, his brother Jeff, plays quarterback for North Carolina State. One of the oddest occurrences during this Thanksgiving Day holiday saw Jeff visiting Jason at the Georgia Tech training table for Thanksgiving dinner.
Georgia Tech has to burn a timeout because they were only in a 10-man formation, and on a punt situation, you definitely don't want that.
These are the situations you go over in Friday practice. You make sure that everybody knows, all right, punt unit, you're on. Kickoff unit, you're on. Onside kick unit, you're on. And they'd spend probably the bulk of Friday's practice without pads, making sure everybody knows who's on what unit.
Well, Anthony Rice was the guy who went out there, and now Georgia Tech has only one timeout left. He was the late guy going out there. Now, it might have been he had an injury or an equipment repair or something, and his backup wasn't aware of that, and all of a sudden, you're a man shy. And fortunately, Derek Gaucher, one of the guys on that punt team whose job it is to count the number of people, said, hey, we're a guy shy.
4th down and 15. Bender back to kick. There's lots of air under this one. The fair catch called for by Carswell at the 9. And we'll have a change of possession, as Georgia will get the ball back with 8:03 left to go in the 4th quarter of play. The Bulldogs leading the Yellow Jackets by 3.
Case.
Back in Atlanta, Georgia leading Georgia Tech 18-15, 8:03 left to go here in the 4th quarter. Steve Martin, Jack Corrigan, and Mike Hogwood with you. And Georgia with the football at their own 10-yard line. Eric Zier hands off to Frank Harvey. He scored once today, and he is wrapped up by Marlon Williams and Jarrell Williams at the 12 for a gain of about 2. Our game summary brought to you by Schlitz Malt Liquor. Garrison Hurst has a career-high 175 yards. Dwayne Simmons has 8 solo tackles. The plus side for Georgia Tech, well, there's a minus side. Sean Jones' ineffectiveness as a passer this afternoon at 5 out of 16. And on 3rd down conversions, Georgia Tech as a whole converting only once in 13 tries, yet only 3 points back. Zier, pump fake, Johnson in pursuit. It's a dying Quayle that Fry almost caught up with. Let's go down to the sidelines of Mike Hogwood.
Guys, we've had very few serious injuries today, but a lot of guys are out there gutting it out with pain because, after all, this is Georgia Tech. Guys like offensive tackle Mike Mooney. He had somebody fall on his knee a couple series ago. He's out there playing in a lot of pain, but he simply refuses to come out of this game. He's a senior, and he wants to finish this Georgia Tech football game.
Boy, Tom Johnson's pressure, as you look at Mike Mooney on the sidelines, nearly produced a 3rd turnover. He whacked Zier as he released the ball.
3rd down and 8. Georgia leading by a field goal, needing a 1st down. The pass is complete to the tight end, but he's short of the 1st down at the 15-yard line. Mitchell on the catch. Ken Swilling with him every step of the way.
Jeff Howard starting to warm up on the sidelines. Will he come into the ball game? Sean Jones ineffective because of the elbow injury when he took a large portion of skin off his right elbow with a severe turf burn, and obviously it's affected his passing.
Saucy looking for a big kick here. Hits one out of there. A returnable one by Clay. Clay gets loose twice and gets down to the 40-yard line. Making the tackle, Travis Jones. It's a 32-yard kick and a 7-yard return. Down to the 39-yard line of Georgia. The opportunity is there. Certainly, Jack, with 6:42 left, the field position is there. And Sean Jones trots back out onto the football field.
Well, they have the field position now, actually close enough almost already for Scott Sisson, who has hit a 51-yarder in this football game in the 1st half.
He'd be at 57 if they were to kick it here. That's a ways away. Lincoln. That's 5 of that up to the 35-yard line.
This is such a crucial drive for Georgia Tech because of the timeout situation. Just one remaining for them. We still have 6:25 to go in the ball game. But if they don't produce points here, they're not going to have a lot of ability to stop the clock if Georgia starts to march the football.
2nd down and 5.
They will also try and pick up the pace if they can on offense to save some time.
McGill and Rodriguez, the wideouts. Double tight end set. McGill in motion. Hendricks. He's going to be close to the 1st down. Let's see where they give him the mark. It's right straight ahead to the 30-yard line.
Well, they just
tackling on the play was John Allen.
They just lined up behind the wide bodies on the right side. Kyle Frederick and Russell Freeman, and got a great push to pick up a big first down.
5:43 left. Georgia Tech trailing by a field goal, 18-15.
To reverse the stat on timeouts, Georgia has all 3 timeouts remaining if they need them as the game winds down.
1st and 10 at the 30. Stegall in motion. Pitch to Lincoln to the short side. Pushes Hendricks ahead of him and gets down to the 27-yard line. A gain of 3. Kurt Douglas got in there to break things up with 5:15 left.
Did not get out of bounds, so the clock continues to roll down to 5:10 to play. And you can see Georgia Tech here trying to do it as much as they can on the ground to avoid putting the pressure on Sean Jones, who has not been able to throw the ball very well with the elbow problem.
They are 44 yards away from a field goal if they were to kick here. So they are within Sisson's range. Question is, does Georgia Tech want to tie? Merchant. They'll take it if that's all that's left. Hendricks reverses field, gets the first, loses a football. Still loose. Georgia's got it. Was the one who knocked the ball loose. Mike Jones is coming out there with it.
David Hendricks with an outstanding run and an even better defensive play by John Allen to pop the ball free. There was still an opportunity for Georgia Tech to come away with the ball. Look at the cut by Hendricks. But right there, the ball knocked away. No, it's Dwayne Simmons who knocked it away. And Emmett Merchant had a chance to come up with the football, but couldn't corral it, and Mike Jones did.
Georgia with a football back. 4:28 left to go. Zier will throw on first down to the sidelines, incomplete for Marshall. Willie Clay covering.
Georgia really needs to make only 2 first downs here to really put Georgia Tech in a time bind. And you would have thought they would have run the ball there to keep the clock moving, but they took the chance that there'd be a lot of Tech people on the line of scrimmage, and he had Marshall one-on-one with Clay, so there was room to gain yardage. Zier just didn't make a good pass.
One of the few times he hasn't. This is a quarterback with great touch. And for a true freshman, he's a cool thinker. Handoff goes to the fullback, Strong. And he gets up over the 25-yard line out to the 28. It's a gain of 6. Williams and Fry in on the tackle. That's Jarrell Williams. As you look at Eric Fry, who's usually made himself present at every big play in this game this afternoon. Tips a ball for an interception, and then it makes a key 3rd down tackle that forced Georgia to punt. 3rd and 4. Georgia by a field goal. Big rush is on. The screen to Marshall. He's got the first down.
Brian Baxter, a nose man, almost was able to make the play, and Marshall just ran around him. And now away from the action. Watch right here. Brian Baxter has a shot, but can't quite get enough of him. And Marshall falls forward for a first down. Away from the action, there was a conversation, a little pushing and shoving going on, but play on, says Al Ford. There's one big first down for Georgia. If they do it again, Georgia Tech is really up against it.
3:33 left, and the clock is rolling. As Jack has said before, Georgia Tech has only one chance to stop it. Garrison Hurst hit at the line of scrimmage. Baxter was the first man to get him. He gets maybe 2 yards. What a day Garrison Hurst has had. There's Baxter playing in place of Kevin Battle.
And I really think right now, Ray Goff is going to run the ball 3 times. Run the clock down. If you don't get the first down, you punt it away, and you're really going to back Georgia Tech up. He might cross up and try and throw the ball, but you risk stopping the clock with the incompletion. I think we're going to see a run on 2nd down and on 3rd down.
Out of the I formation, Hurst is the I back. Hurst gets the call. And Jarrell Williams makes the stop, losing his helmet in the process at the 38-yard line. A gain of 2. But now you're under 2.5 minutes to play. This is a big open field tackle by Jarrell Williams. Hurst with that shiftiness, that ability to slip tackles, but Jarrell Williams with a big-time hit. 3rd down and 6. There'll be about 2 minutes to play when Georgia snaps the ball here on 3rd down. I'd still run it. Down to the 2-minute mark. Georgia leading by a field goal. The throw is complete, but he got out of bounds with it. Not complete. He caught it. Hastings at the 44. He still would have been shy of the 1st down. He was at the 43. Swilling covering on the play, and so the punting unit will have to come out. Zaire trying to get it to Hastings. Never had possession until he went out of bounds, apparently, because that foot at first looked like it was in bounds. 1:56 to play. Georgia Tech didn't have to use that precious final timeout. They still have a chance. And Saucy is back in punt formation. He's had a tough day. 1 block. His yardage, well, it hasn't been strong. Georgia Tech comes after him, and there's a flag on the play. Clay back to return it. He's driven out of the 35, but the flag is back in the area, indicating roughing the kicker. Oh, and he called it a personal foul. That should have been a 5-yard infraction. They're going to call it the 15-yard infraction. And I tell you what, it was the blocking back, Garrison Hurst, who actually is the man who makes contact on the punter. And when that happens, it usually should be a 5-yard infraction. But I think they're going to mark off the 15-yarder. Watch who provides the contact. You see 3 Georgia Tech players there, Don Hickson among others. There's contact, and there's no doubt it should be a penalty, but I think that should have been a 5-yarder, which would have made it 4th and 1. Instead, the 15-yard walk-off gives Georgia Tech what could be the back-breaking 1st down as far as the Yellow Jackets are concerned. And Bobby Ross he wants to talk to an official, and he wants to know why it was a 15-yard penalty. The discussion was short. We're back to action. 1st and 10, Georgia at the Georgia Tech 46. Strong, the fullback, heads through. Gets inside the 40, down to the 39-yard line. Marlon Williams with the tackle. Clock rolling with 1:34 left to go. Georgia Tech has a home winning streak of 17 games that is within a minute and a half of ending.
If they stop them here on 2nd down, they'll call the timeout. But Georgia can run this down to almost a minute before they snap the ball.
2nd down and 2. Strong gets it. Does not have enough for the 1st down. Driven back by Swilling and Jarrell Williams. Jarrell Williams, with that assisted tackle, has 12 on the day, and he now becomes the all-time Georgia Tech leading tackler, breaking the single or the career record by Lucius Sanford.
See, they still just now set the ball in play, so Georgia can run it down to about 25 seconds before they have to snap the ball.
41 seconds left to go. 3rd down, 1. Georgia leading by 3. And off to Hurst. Hurst has the 1st down. At the 34-yard line, Garrison Hurst.
Flag on the play. The problem for Georgia Tech, they'll have to take the penalty to deny them the 1st down, but it'll still be 3rd down. They'll stop the clock. Well, let me see. If they start the clock, yes, because the game, that will move the ball back. It'll deny them the 1st down, but whether or not they'll be able to get another playoff, since Georgia will still have 2 plays remaining, it depends on what happens after they mark the holding penalty.
They'll mark it back. Actually, it happened at the line of scrimmage. They'll mark it back at about the 47-yard line. I think the 48-yard line, so it's in essence an 11-yard penalty.
But if look at the day that Garrison Hearst has had.
A 69-yard touchdown run included in that yardage. He has been tough to stop all day.
Well, because Hearst went out of bounds and because of the penalty, Georgia Tech will be able to stop the clock after 3rd down here with 26 seconds remaining. So they still have a slim hope left. Harris, Georgia gets a 1st down.
Eric Zier looking to slam the door right here. Goes to Hearst, and Hearst is hit behind the line of scrimmage at the 46-yard line. It's going to be a loss of about 4. We've got a timeout on the play called by Georgia Tech. A break in the action with 21 seconds left, and Georgia up by 3.
The testing lasted 2 years and yielded.
21 seconds remain in the 4th quarter here at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech trailing 18-15. Georgia forced to punt the ball away. There you see they've already blocked the punt thus far today, but they drew a penalty last time they tried to block it. Ball takes a Georgia Tech bounce, and it'll blow dead at the 29-yard line. 14 seconds left to go, and that's all the time that Georgia Tech will have to move this football 66 yards downfield. Actually, a little bit more than that, 71 yards downfield.
Sean Jones, who's had a tough day passing the football because of the problem with his elbow, has to come up with another kind of miracle. Bobby Ross, I think, is going to look back on that roughing the punter penalty and that 15-yard walk-off instead of the 5-yard walk-off as the big play.
3 wide receivers to the wide side of the field. Sean Jones, no timeouts left. Jones going long. It's batted away by Georgia with 3 seconds left. Target got the hand on it.
Sean Jones had that tough dilemma. He had about 30 yards of free ground in front of him, and he was debating whether he should run. The problem is he wouldn't get enough space to get upfield far enough. He throws it up for grabs, and it falls harmlessly incomplete from Georgia's point of view. He'll try it one more time.
Last time around with 3 seconds left to go for Georgia Tech, trailing here 18-15. Georgia Tech took a 5-0 lead, then fell down 7-5. Retook it at 8-7, fell down 15-8, tied at 15, and here we are. Time has run out. Jones could not get all that he wanted on this one, and the ball is intercepted by Dwayne Simmons at the end of the football game, and Georgia has stopped this brief 2-game losing streak to Georgia Tech, and they up their record to 8-3. With an Independence Bowl bid against Arkansas waiting in the wings for Georgia Tech, their record now falls to 7-5, and they have the Aloha Bowl next with Stanford. There's the final. Georgia 18, Georgia Tech 15. We'll be back right after this.
Gasolines from Exxon by the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company. For insurance and financial services, better call Jefferson Pilot. By Diet Pepsi and caffeine-free Diet Pepsi. You got the right one, baby. By Roses. More ways to save every day. That's our promise. By Hanes Activewear. Hanes underwear and Hanes socks. Nothing else feels so right. By Delta, the airline of ACC country. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Schlitz Malt Liquor. No one does it like the Bull.
Atlanta, there's the final score. The Georgia Bulldogs defeat the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets by a score of 18-15. Our Schick MVPs for this afternoon's football game, no surprise, number 5, Garrison Hearst of Georgia. ran 21 times for 175 yards and a touchdown. And Eric Fry, who had 5-7 tackles and actually tipped the ball for an interception and had a big third down tackle. As part of the Schick Most Valuable Player Award Scholarship Program, Schick will donate $1,000 to the Atlantic Coast Conference to be distributed among the member institutions under a conference-approved plan. Schick Tracer, the only razor which flexes to trace every curve on your face. One of our MVPs is standing by with Mike Hogwood on the field.
Well, guys, this is Garrison Hurst, our Schick MVP, 175 yards today. Great win for Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, we came out with attitude. We wanted to win the game. We practiced hard all week. You know, we knew Georgia Tech was going to be a great game. I think the offensive line just tried to take it in their hands and we wanted to pound the ball down the field. And I think, they gave some great holes, and I was able to get to them. We had a great game today.
Congratulations, Garrison. Coach Ray Goff, what a win for you in this football program. What was the difference today?
Well, our defense played extremely well. They kept them at the end zone. We get a punt blocked, and we turn the ball over on about the 20-yard line. And other than that, our defense shut them out pretty good. And give Tech a lot of credit. It was an awful good football game. Coach Ross and the staff's done a great job, and I'm proud of our players. This is where our downfall started 2 years ago. And at halftime, when we lost Rodney Hampton, we were ahead. And from that point on, we went down, and we're on the way back.
You're back now. Ray Goff, thanks a lot. Congratulations. That's Georgia head coach Ray Goff. Back upstairs now to Stephen Jack.
Operation Turnaround has been a success. Georgia 18, Georgia Tech 15. And we'll be back with more after we pause for this word from your local stations.
The world premiere of Sports Century Don Shula coming January 31st.
Today, pro football is played for this trophy, a 6-month chase for a silver chalice, symbolic of pro football's Super Bowl champion. Today, the game is played by larger-than-life giants, true monsters of the Midway, whose physical size is only exceeded by the size of their salaries. Men who make more money in a single title game than most used to make in a season. More in a season than most used to make in a career. Today, the game has become television's godchild with its multi-million-dollar contracts. It has become more a 3-hour TV variety entertainment special with players and fans alike performers on a stage doing their thing for the millions who watch from home. Today, the game is played in warm tropical climates, on synthetic carpets, in structures that resemble giant alien spaceships that wandered off the movie set of Star Wars. But it wasn't always that way. For many years, pro football was an outcast, a stepchild to such popular pursuits as baseball, basketball, and even college football. Outstanding athletes labored in obscurity, while professional football remained a second-class citizen, until December 1958. Then, one game turned it all around. One game captured the imagination of a sports-hungry country. One game laid a foundation that would propel pro football into its golden age. That one game has become known as the greatest game ever played.
This is the new modern space-age home of the New York Giants. And this was their old home, where over 2 decades ago, this man, Jim Lee Howell, was their head coach. Howell then led a club that was an NFL power and one of the few nationally known teams to a title in 1956. In 1958, after struggling to an Eastern Division crown, Howell again led New York into the championship. For the 1958 title, Howell would face Weebu Bank, now a member of Pro Football's Hall of Fame, but then head man of the Baltimore Colts, a team Eubank had nurtured into the explosive offensive machine that was to win the NFL's Western Division. Their stars, like their coach, were to become Hall of Famers: Unitas, Moore, Barry, Marchetti. But at the time, they were little known. Perhaps the two coaches who would challenge each other that day sensed the game's importance even then. Certainly today, they understand well the significance of this historic sudden death overtime classic to the growth of pro football.
Well, it was one of the first great games on TV. And as he said, it had the coverage all over the country. I think at this time, at this stage, there are more TV sets than there had ever been, and the people were watching it more.
And with the sudden death and the TV coming in and the writers and the players making big names for themselves, Unitas and Connolly and Huff and all that. Another thing that helped tremendously, this built up then, and then it brought on the TV thing that Walter Cronkite did in 1960, The Violent World of Sam Huff. And this was a big thing on TV, and so it just ballooned up from there.
Football was growing. It was now ready to, it had been crawling, and now it was ready to get up and run. And this was the thing which put it over that hump.
I think it was really that brought professional football on, and the crowds everywhere pretty much then jumped because of the interest created by this game.
Due in part to the New York press, the Giant stars were well known even then. There was Chuck and Charlie Connerly, the Giants' square-jawed leader, the classic mold of the old-time do-it-all NFL quarterback. Kyle Rote on the left was Connerly's favorite target, a gifted receiver and runner who, despite two bad knees for most of his career, was still a blue-chip clutch performer. There was Alex Webster and Frank Gifford. The Giffer was renowned then for his triple threat abilities as runner, receiver, and passer, as he is today for his TV commentary. But the heart of the Giants in those days was its defense. Ends Andy Robustelli and Jim Katcavage. Tackles Rosie Greer and Dick Modulewski. And a hard-nosed linebacker named Sam Huff. All told, it had been a very tough season for these Giants of Jim Lee Howell.
And we weren't really a great team, and that built it up all along because we were winning. We were 4-3, which wasn't a good record starting out. And then we had to win the 5 games, and we beat the Baltimore in one of the games earlier in the year, and then we Cleveland 3 times.
Chevy offers the most crew cabs of anyone. Colorado, Avalanche, Silverado, and Silverado Heavy Duty. The most crew cabs. That's why Chevy's the right truck. The official truck of an American revolution.
I guess you're just what I need. Just what I needed. Circuit City has the big screens you need for the big game. Right now, save up to 10% and pay no interest till July 2006 on all digital TV $6.99 and up. Or get this 42-inch widescreen plasma TV for just $1788.99. We have a huge selection of LCD plasma TVs and more, with delivery guaranteed in time for the big game. Circuit City. Just what I needed.
Credit card bills, late payments, medical bills. Financial stress can happen to anyone. If you're a homeowner and you need cash, call or log on to Ditech.com and take the Ditech Challenge. We'll guarantee you the lowest rate and fee and help you to consolidate debts and lower your payments, even if your credit is less than perfect. Put us to the test and find out why so many other lenders are saying, lost another loan to Ditech. Log on or call 1-800-80-DITECH.
Hey, what do you got? Desktop, 17-inch flat screen monitor and speakers.
Nice, I got a couple notebooks.
Well, you're lucky.
No, you're the lucky one.
No, you are.
All right, I gotta go to Miami.
Miami? You're so lucky.
Take delivery of a Gateway PC with an Intel Pentium 4 processor and get a free CD burner. Just $499.99 and found only in a Gateway box.
It's Yankee Stadium, and the Giants and Browns are set to determine who will meet the Baltimore Colts for the 58th NFL title. As he often does, Coach Jim Lee Howell starts Don Heinrich in place of quarterback Charlie Connolly. But Heinrich fails to move the team, and Connolly is now at the helm. Midway in the first quarter, Connolly hands to Alex Webster, who reverses to number 16, Frank Gifford. As the Browns close in on Gifford, he laterals back to Connolly, and Charlie goes in to score. It's his first touchdown of the year and gives New York a 7-0 lead. The Giants later made it 10-0, but it looks like the key to this game is the ability of the Giants defense, the best in the league, to hold Jim Brown and company scoreless. They harass the Cleveland runners and quarterback with a frenzied defensive performance that culminates in this play. With the Browns driving, Milt Plum goes back. Throws. It's intercepted by none other than Sam Huff. That's it for the Browns. The Giants, after a long, hard game, have nailed the coffin and win the Eastern Conference, shutting out the Browns 10-0. And they'll now meet Baltimore for the NFL title.
Weeb Ewbank's Colts, on the other hand, had won their division in 1958 with less of a struggle than New York. Even their leader, Johnny Unitas, was in the infancy of his incredible career, a career that began in Pittsburgh and quickly moved to Baltimore, thanks to Ewbank.
John had played at Louisville, and I remember he was a player at Louisville, and I had Herman Ball on my staff that had been at the Steelers when Johnny came up. And I said to Herman, how about it? He said, well, he's so excited as a rookie, well, he couldn't play, even call the signals well. And so then I called Frank Camp, his college coach, whom I knew, and he said, I think he's worthy of another chance. So we brought him in on the tryout, and we took some movies, and we liked what we saw, and we signed him, and the rest of it's history.
Unitas's favorite target was the premier end in football, Raymond Berry.
Raymond, I can remember him practicing. I'd say, well, John, I think you've had enough today. And he said, I just work here, Weeb. And Raymond's out there catching passes, running patterns. And they tell a story about him when he went to coach at the Dallas Cowboys, that he had a player running a pattern that he was out of bounds about a half a step every time he caught it. And Raymond had run the pattern for him. And finally, Raymond says, well, that's the way to run the pattern. I don't believe the field is right. So Raymond, he ran the pattern, and he stepped out of bounds, and he says the field has to be wrong. I run that pattern too much. And they checked it, and it was a foot short. But he was that kind of an individual. He was meticulous in everything he did. You look at him, you'd think that he couldn't do it. You know, he wore contact lenses, and he had a corset he wore for a back. He had a built-up shoe, and you'd look at him run, but that was one of the things that made him tough to cover. He looked like he was running every way as he came at you. You didn't know which way he was going to go. And he'd run that good pattern with arms and legs going, but he could really get open.
Thus it was that at Yankee Stadium on a cold December day in 1958, more than 70,000 fans were about to witness an epic game. The Giants had the home advantage, but the Colts were well motivated.
One of the things that we felt helped get us fired up a little bit, New York writers like to take a player someplace and then write up the articles for him and then put as their byline. And one of the things that poor Charlie Connolly had said after our other game that we lost, it was a very close game, why he said we outgutted them. Well, we blew that up, and it was all over the locker room. And so we went into the game, we'll say who will outgut who.
Ewbank's title game strategy would call on the passing arm of John Unitas, throwing to receivers Lenny Moore and Raymond Berry.
John Unitas is one of the few people who could pass long. There are a lot of people who can throw long. They throw 70 yards, but they can't pass 50 yards. And John was one who could pass long with accuracy. But going into the game, we felt that we could either get the long one or we could come back on the other side to Raymond.
As the game began, Ewbank tried the strategy he had talked about. Unitas used the bomb to number 24, Lenny Moore. It worked, but only this one time, for the Giants would double cover Moore from this point on. The bomb led to no score, however, as a field goal attempt was blocked. This was to be a big play game, and the Giants took the lead later in the quarter, set up on this 38-yard run by number 16, Frank Gifford. But the Colts held, and Pat Summerall kicked New York into a 3-0 lead. Gifford was also instrumental in relinquishing this lead to Baltimore in the second quarter. Twice he would fumble in this period, and twice the Colts would capitalize on the Giffords' turnovers. After Gifford's first fumble, Unitas used his long threat, Lenny Moore, on sweeps to exploit the Giants' flank, but mainly to set up runs up the middle by fullback Alan the Horse Amici. And it was the big fullback who scored the Colts' first touchdown. 7-3, Baltimore. Later in the second period, Gifford lost the handle again as he seemed to run into his own man, and Unitas again went to work on the NFL's best defense with his controlled gambling theory that later would become one of his trademarks. It was at this point that Unitas began to use Raymond Berry, who was being single covered. Double covering Moore to prevent the long bomb, the Giants then forced Unitas to scramble out of trouble. A few plays later, Unitas came back to Berry on what was then their trademark, a picture-perfect post-pattern touchdown. Perhaps the greatest pass-catch combination in the history of the game had put the Colts up 14-3 at the half.
What are you holding now?
A six-pack.
A six-pack? Brilliant! What's it do?
Well, I figured out how to carry 6 beers at the same time.
Carry 6 beers at the same time? Brilliant! Let's drink them.
You know, I've been thinking, it might not be the smartest idea to drink 6 beers at the same time.
Don't drink 6 beers at the same time? Brilliant!
Brilliant!
Drink Guinness Draught straight from the bottle and always enjoy it responsibly.
Brilliant!
With lots of great deals, start off the new year with a new Dell. Like this complete Dimension desktop with an Intel Celeron D processor. It's yours for only $499 after mail-in rebate. Plus, get a free flat panel upgrade and a free memory upgrade. And right now, pay no interest until 2006 for well-qualified customers. It's only a click or call away. Get more out of the new year with Dell. Get more out of now. Dell PCs use Intel Celeron D processors.
Introducing the Extra Points credit card from the National Football League. Log on to NFL.com/extrapoints today and start living your NFL dreams.
Excuse me, are you happy with the service you're getting from your stockbroker?
Oh, sure. I love feeling like a small fish in a big pond.
Service? What's that?
I started investing for myself online at TD Waterhouse. What a difference.
Get free trades for a month when you switch to TD Waterhouse. Call 1-800-273-7144 now.
I sat down with one of their investment consultants at my local branch, and he helped me to develop a personalized investment strategy that I could execute on my own. It was great. Who knew you could get that kind of service from an online broker?
At TD Waterhouse, their investment consultants will give you the attention you deserve no matter what size your portfolio is. Get the service you're not getting from your current broker. You can do this. Switch to TD Waterhouse, the alternative to Schwab and higher-priced brokers like Merrill Lynch.
Get free trades for a month to help you get started when you switch to TD Waterhouse. Call 1-800-273-7144 now. That's 1-800-273-7144 or visit us at tdwaterhouse.com/TV.
The second half began with the Colts moving steadily towards another touchdown, which may have iced the game. But it was here that the Giant defense, which had leaked in the first half, regained the momentum for its team with a superb goal line stand, stopping the Colts from the 3-yard line. Leading 14-3 on 4th down, Eubank disdained the field goal and went for 6. Amici swung wide and was halted back at the 5-yard line.
And I don't take anything away from the Giants' defensive stand, but today, after all the experience I've had, I'm sure on the 4th down, your hindsight's always 20/20. We'd have gone for a field goal. I don't know whether we'd hit it or not. And that hopped them up, and after they stopped us, and we had quite a lull in there for a while, and they went ahead.
What helped the Giants eventually take the lead happened on the next series. It started out as a simple pass to Kyle Rote. Then it looked like another giant turnover, but Alex Webster had trailed the play and was right there to scoop it up and take it to the Colts 1. Mel Triplett's touchdown put New York back in the game, 14-10 after 3 quarters. And more important, the Giants seemed to have the momentum now to carry them to victory. In the final period, the Giants did take the lead. Connerly fired to Bob Schnelker for 46 yards to the 15. And on the next play, Connerly came back to the weak side to Gifford, who tiptoed into the end zone. A play set up by a Polaroid photo taken by Wellington Mara in the first half, showing the Colts secondary overshifting to the strong side. It was now 17-14, Giants. With under 3 minutes left, the Giants again got the ball. It was imperative that they maintain possession to hold on to their 3-point margin. But on 3rd and 4, Gifford was stopped inches short in what was later to be called the key play of the game.
All of us thought that he did make the first down. We thought the ball was badly spotted. A lot of the officials have a tendency to always move the ball back, and when it's a close thing, why that's what it's about, inches you hear all the time.
It was close. It's a tough decision. It's one of those things, and as Jim said, it's funny how they set them. They get near the goal line, they put the ball down where the knee comes down. They get to a situation like that, they might do anything. And all I know is Gino was underneath it, and Big Daddy came and hit the whole pile up and sort of pushed it all back.
Then, of course, the next big thing was after that, then what do you do now? And then that's when my call came in, and I said, we punt. We had the best defensive team in the league. Chandler kicked it to the 14-yard line, and I thought with our defensive team that we could hold them. Had we tried for the 4th down and not made it, they were right there in a field goal range, and they could have won the ball game right there.
With 1 minute and 56 seconds left, the drama was building. The fabulous Giant defense would again be put to the test, and it must stop a man who was to become the game's greatest. Here is John Unitas conducting the most memorable 2-minute drill in pro football history.
45, Emlyn Tunnell. The bomb has not worked at all today for the Baltimore Colts. 2nd and 10, Unitas back once more. His pass goes toward L.G. Dupre. Incomplete. Setting up a 3rd down and 10. The Giants in the lead, 17-14 at Yankee Stadium. Johnny Unitas, this time to Lenny Moore. Moore gets the first down. The clock keeps moving. There's going to be no Baltimore huddle. First down on the 25. Unitas back, this time looking for Barry. Barry at the 33. Breaking the tackle. Cliff Livingston at the 40 and runs to the 45. Moving to the 50 and is in Giants territory. First down for the Colts, near midfield. Unitas pumps right. Sees Barry, waves him open, and he is, and hits him at the 35. Unitas back again, looking for Barry. Gets him at the 25. Barry moves to the 20, the 15, and that Barry's amazing. 15 seconds, 14, 13, and here comes the field goal team.
The last thing I told the team, place kick team, was don't move. You're in a hurry. There's not too many seconds to go in the ball game, and you could be in a hurry, and you might make the field goal and then be off sides or moving. And that was the last thing I told them. I said, no, we're going to make it, but be sure you don't move.
10 seconds, 9, 8. Here's the kick by Steve Myra. Good. The game is tied, and we're about to have the first sudden death overtime in the history of pro football.
Maybe we could all use a little less. From Honda, the first car company to offer 3 hybrid models, the all-new Accord Hybrid V6.
Can you see the difference between these homes? It's a difference of $9,000 a year. That's the difference the home loan experts at Quicken Loans can make for you with the incredible new Smart Choice interest-only loan, the mortgage that could lower your payment as much as 45%. With Smart Choice, Quicken Loans has created a new kind of home loan that offers you month-by-month flexibility to lower your house payment up to 45%. How does a Smart Choice loan work? It's easy. Month after month, you can choose to lower your payment by paying only interest. Or you can add principal to your payment anytime you want. It's your choice. Let's say you have a $200,000 loan. With a traditional 30-year fixed loan at 6% interest, your payment would be $1,200 every single month. But with Smart Choice from Quicken Loans, your payment would be an amazingly low $690 a month. That's a difference of over $6,000 a year. Call 800-549-1622 now to see the difference Quicken Loans can make for you. Imagine what you could do if you could cut your house payment almost in half. You'd have extra money to meet unexpected expenses, remodel your home, or pay for college tuition. No matter what size your mortgage is, refinancing with a Smart Choice loan could put thousands of dollars back in your pocket. The difference could be over $4,000, $7,000, even $15,000 a year. If you're refinancing or you're buying a new home, call 800-549-1622 now or go to QuickenLoans.com to see how the exclusive Smart Choice loan can give you extra money by lowering your house payment up to 45%.